Greetings, panelists, Monica, Ahmed. Do you have your microphones on? Hello, greetings, Monica and Ahmed. Okay, you don't have to talk. It's okay.
Ainda não comecei.
Hello, Monica.
Hi, John.
How you doing?
Tudo bem?
Where are you from?
From Brazil.
Oh my God. Very far.
No, no.
Which part, Rio or Sao Paulo? Okay, we'll be starting in about an hour, okay?
Ok. Meu áudio tá ruim.
Yeah, the panel is reserved for faculty, okay? Just so you know. Ahmed, hello.
Hi, John.
Are you there, Ahmed?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Do you hear me?
Ahmed, are you there?
Yeah, just a minute. I would like to prepare myself.
Ahmed, are you there?
Yes, John, can
Oh,
you
there
hear
you
me?
go. I can't hear you.
Okay, that's good.
Oh, okay. Okay, let me show you. You've downloaded the banner, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what you can do is take an image that you like and put the banner on the image. Okay?
You want me to show you a photo?
Yeah, show me. You can show me what you've done.
Okay, just a minute.
Okay. Yeah, it takes a little bit. In the meanwhile, I'll show the panel. I'll give them a little slideshow of the ones I have available. Oh, no, I don't want to get confused there. The heck with that. Spanish. See, that would be a nice place to put a banner right there. And this is where I did put it ultimately. And that was for a Spanish conference we did. No, Venezuelan, actually. Military neurotrauma in the Ukraine. Are you
Can
ready,
we-
Ahmed?
Yeah, I mean, you can make maybe background as Dandium and logo.
Try it. Show me what you got.
Okay, I
Okay,
sent it
now
to
to put the image on back of you, you got to go to the video settings at the bottom of the screen. You see the camera there? You picture the camera? There's a menu open next to that. Open the menu. So you see that?
Actually, my app is not. I mean, it's not good for these settings. Okay, so I couldn't.
Oh, you can't. There's no camera at the bottom. Do you have an Apple? Do you have a Windows or you have a laptop?
No, it's just by smartphone.
Oh, smartphone. Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Okay, go. Okay, on your smartphone, go to the image. Okay, but you don't have an option there at the bottom with the video camera. There should be a video camera there, as
There
well
is
as a microphone.
It's just there is an icon just for to starting video or stopping video.
There's
Nothing.
no camera icon?
No, no.
No, nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, try to look into what it takes to put a background on a smartphone.
I'm trying.
You have some time, go online and find out how do you put a background on a smartphone in Zoom.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, okay, because you can find it very easy. There's probably a video made,
Okay.
okay? And we'll be here.
Yeah.
You know how the internet works. You're good at it. Harshad, how you doing?
Hi, John. I'm fine. How are you?
Good. How you been?
I'm very good. How are you been?
Very good. I'm looking forward to this webcast.
Yes, I'm happy to see Jua again.
Well, you know, it's a legacy of Yuha
You are.
because he went to China. He's the one that, you know, made the big move going to
Yeah.
China and establishing himself and putting on regular webinars, etc.
Mhm.
So really, this is part of him.
Yeah. He is back to China or is still
He's
at
in
Helsinki?
Finland because
Finland,
there's a long
Helsinki.
quarantine now, I guess, in China.
Okay.
So it's not going like smoothly as predicted
Mhm.
because you know you heard, right? They shut down Shanghai for a while.
Shanghai, yeah, they have done a re-shutdown.
They're still shut down?
Yeah, there is another few new crop of cases and they are going to shut down or something. They've done something.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Just, let's see. So looking forward to hear. So how is Miami now? Very hot?
Beautiful. No, not hot yet.
Not yet.
It hasn't reached those days of being very
Okay.
uncomfortably hot.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure Mumbai gets very muggy, right?
Yeah. Now the rainy season will start very soon.
Yeah.
Still not fully. Pre-monsoon showers were there.
Oh,
but
you
not
you
much.
guys get really bad rains, right?
Yeah, we get bad rains, but they're quite enjoyable at times.
Are they called monsoon? Are they monsoon? type
Monsoon,
rain?
monsoon.
How long does the monsoon typically last?
2 months.
Wow,
Mhm.
every day.
Yeah. I would say at least 3-4 days in a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been to some really monsoon type of rains in Mexico.
Mexico.
I've never seen rain that it was so thick you could not see.
Yeah,
Does
similar
it get
kind of
like
rains.
that too in Mumbai, right?
Yeah, similarly. We
You
see
can't
all
see.
cloudy weather. Yeah. Cloudy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. How long when they are going to start meeting?
Oh, we start in 45 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
I gotta go
Okay, I'll
now.
catch you. Yeah, I'll catch you. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I'll be back.
Thank you. Thanks.
Ahmed, are you there? Hello, good morning, Ming.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
So do you know about Batman and Robin? Do you know
Sorry?
Batman?
I don't know.
No, the TV show, Batman and Robin. You never see that?
Yeah, I haven't checked that.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Maybe I thought you knew it. It's mostly for children. You know, it's big. Anyways, so Ahmed is here. He's going to introduce you. Okay, Ahmed. He's a neurosurgeon from Yemen.
Yes.
He
Ahmed,
is. Go
Ahmed,
ahead.
are you here?
I'm sorry.
Ahmed, are you here?
No, he's not here.
Not
He's
here.
not here. He's trying to get his background
Okay.
set. I don't know if you want a background or not, but see, I put neurosurgical TV in my background.
Okay.
But you want to see how to put a background, or you don't care? It's okay.
Okay, please put a background for me.
Okay, take a picture. What picture do you like? Okay, let me show you. Okay, go to the bottom of your screen. At the far left, there's a picture of a camera. You see the camera?
Yeah.
Okay, there's a menu next to the camera. Open the menu up. Can you see that? It's a menu next to it.
Mm. Mm.
Can't see it?
No menu. Yeah, I see that.
Okay,
Okay.
open up the menu. Okay, and then it says choose virtual background.
Yeah.
Click on that. And then it'll take you to a screen that's intuitive. You should be able to figure it out. Okay, but the way to scan your computer for images is go to the plus. Click on that. You see the plus? There's a plus mark on the far right of the screen. Halfway down, there's a plus. It says add image or video.
I can't.
You can't see it? You may not be on the right screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah, so, well, don't worry about it. It's no big deal.
You can send me the picture to my email.
Well, let me give you a short video here that'll explain. It's a very common video.
Hi, John.
Hello. Oh, Ed, you're there. Okay.
Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Ming. How are you?
I'm good. What's time
I'm-
in Yemen right now?
I'm very excited to see you here.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for helping me to organize this. Thank you for John. Yeah. John did a lot of work for this ground around and you.
Okay,
Thanks.
I got okay, Ming, I'm gonna send you the watch the video. It's very quick. You see, I gave you the link in the chat. You see that link?
Yeah.
Okay, go there, take a rest, and watch the video and come back.
Okay.
Oh, Ahmed, any luck, Ahmed?
About what?
Did you have any luck getting the background?
No, I couldn't. It
Okay,
needs.
well, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's no big deal.
Now tell me what I should do.
I'm sorry?
I mean, whom I should introduce? Should I introduce Ming or Professor Salim?
Oh, no, basically, I'm gonna go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And after I say 1, you say hi. And I was hoping you'd have the banner up so you wouldn't have to say Neurosurgical TV. But since we don't, just say I'm Ahmed. I'm representing Neurosurgical TV. We have the honor of hosting the China Neurosurgery Central Grand Rounds. And then you can, well, you can introduce yourself too, of course. And then say, I'd like to introduce Ming, and introduce Ming like you want to introduce him.
Okay.
Mhm.
And that's it. And during the webcast, Ming will be handling the guest he's going to be next and the questions. So you're more or less done after you introduce Ming, but I hope you stick around in case there are any fights.
Yeah. Yeah, I will. I think there are following parts. First, hospital president will deliver.
Yeah, I'll put that on. Then you're going to say, John, could you please put the video on?
Okay,
then?
John help me to broadcast that video. Is it okay?
Yeah, and then, yeah, you want to say, you want me to broadcast it now?
No. Maybe after I deliver the speech.
Yeah,
After-
yeah, after you introduce yourself, then you tell me when you want the video. Say, okay, John, could you put the video, please?
Okay, and
Then-
our department chair will have a slides, have some slides.
Okay,
Department-
so after that, I'll stop it and then you take it where you want to go,
Okay,
to the president of the neurosurgery department, right? Is that what you're gonna
Yes.
do? Okay.
he
And
have
he's gonna give some
to show
slides,
here.
he's gonna have a slideshow, a presentation, right?
Yes, after that is us, then Dr. Salim.
Okay,
I think Ahmed.
Yeah.
Ahmed, are you there?
Ahmed, we should discuss the details carefully. Yeah, how do you think?
About what?
How do you think the process?
Professor Salim, do you mean?
Yeah,
Okay, I can do it.
yeah, we can. Dr. Ahmed did a lot of work, and John. Yeah. Thank you very much for both to do a lot of things for this ground around. Yeah, this is very important right now in China. There are nearly 1,500 Chinese neurosurgeons saw the advertisements in China.
Oh, so
Okay,
did you get it hooked up, okay, Ming, with the WeChat?
WeChat, yes, right now there's 1,500 Chinese neurosurgeons saw this advertisements.
Oh,
Yeah,
fantastic.
Dr. Kai Zhang, the tech of the WeChat, is in the Zoom room now. Kai Zhang, Kai Zhang.
Okay, well,
Hi, John.
maybe later in the week, we could get together and you could show me.
Okay,
Okay, later.
yeah. Dr.
And
Kai,
also, you know, I'm only letting people in the panel that are faculty. So you have to help me. I'm gonna make you your co-host, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
no, and our chair will come.
I'm gonna make you co-host, and that lets you let people in from the panel. Can you see the right-hand side, the people in the panel?
Yeah, I saw.
Okay, you can let them in. The way you do that is you go to more, and then it says enter into webcast, and that's how you let them in. You
Okay.
see what okay, go to more, you see that?
Okay.
Okay, go to the person, right? There's a blue menu that opens up. You see that?
Yeah.
And
There are
then it
4
says-
persons
it
right
says
now.
more, and then you can admit the person to the panel.
Yeah.
Okay, so you may have some people coming that you want. I don't recognize the script sometimes, the Chinese script sometimes, and it may be an important person. So you
Okay.
may have to keep an eye on that panel. If you have a hard time, say, John, I can't get this person in the panel.
Okay.
Okay. That's one problem I saw I had when I had Chinese neurosurgeons come. I didn't know the name.
Okay.
So it's always good to have someone ready. Wow, that's great. That's a lot of, it's easy to set up on WeChat because I finally got WeChat on my phone. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
It's like, is it easy like Zoom?
I think it's similar.
Similar? Okay.
Yeah. I think some will come as and Salim, Dr. Salim.
Oh, okay. You're contacting Sam?
No.
Yeah, please tell him to come in about 15 minutes before, okay?
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not-
Amanda?
Let me see if I can communicate with him.
Where are you?
Yeah, please ask Sam come in here.
Okay, I will tell him now.
Okay. Sam asks.
Sam does some comedy routines.
Yeah, Sam is
So
very
we
big.
want Sam to do some comedy. Tell him before the show to relax the presenters.
Yeah. John, have you had a breakfast?
Yeah, no, I had to. I
No.
go across the street, I have a coffee. I gotta have coffee. Yeah,
Okay.
you don't drink coffee, right?
Yeah.
You drink coffee?
Yeah, sometimes. But
Oh.
most of the time I like to drink tea.
Tea.
Yeah.
Yeah, in China, that's easy to get tea at a conference, right? But they don't have coffee, right?
No, both.
They have both, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
But if we drink tea, we must have the hot water. That's a bigger problem for some conference.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I think the best way is that you and Sam get together and figure out who you want to speak.
It's okay.
Yeah. You guys
I-
work together. You guys work together and get a good, program. Now, do you want to do it every week or I think every other week is good. Every 2 weeks, is that okay?
we will talk later.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll talk later. Okay,
How do
we'll
you
talk
think,
later.
Ahmed, how do you think?
Okay, I have talked with Professor Salim. Okay, he said that just a few minutes before starting, he will join us.
Okay, Ahmed, how do you think for this ground round, maybe once per 3 weeks or 2 weeks or 1 month? How do you think?
What? I don't get it. Could you repeat your question, please?
Dr. John wanted to know what's the frequency for this?
Well, Ming, my experience has shown me that every 2 weeks is good because we finish this show and then it takes a while to get the next one, but if you have 2 weeks, you have time to get things set up. It's a lot better. But once a month is not enough because you forget that's a community. But we'll discuss that. And I'm open to every week. If you guys really want it, okay, we'll do it every week. But I think you'll find that it's a lot of work to get it ready for another, the next week,
I
especially for big shows, you know, for big people.
Yeah, I think John is really correct. You know, if you do it every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, that looks better. That we have enough time to promote for the webinar, and you know, it's good for you. I mean,
Yeah,
Okay,
web promotion is better.
Yeah, we will talk about some later on June together. My daughter.
Hello. Listen, what's her name? What's her name?
She left.
She's shy, right?
Yeah, left.
nice.
Yeah. What do you do at the weekend, Amanda?
You know, I have many things to study. You know, I have a lot of topics. As I told you, I'm still a medical student, so I have to study a lot. Okay. Hi. Let her join us.
My son.
Oh, okay, there's another child. You got two.
Yeah, one daughter, one
Say
son.
hello. How you doing? Hello. Say hello. Say hello. Say hi. Say
这
hi.
爷爷给你们打招呼
Say。hi.
田园，快给他弄走吧。
They like computers. They like computers, right?
Yes, they like computers.
Is that a good babysitter, the computer?
Yeah, sometimes, but here, yeah, please go outside.
She likes a camera.
Yeah, like a camera.
There she comes again.
Awesome. Okay. I think some people will join soon.
Okay.
Mm.
This is early for me. Usually I never get started this early. This is great.
I know. You did a lot of work for this webinar. Yeah.
Well, because I'm always on the computer, but it's good because sometimes people come and say, hey, we have a conference in a couple hours. Can you do it? You know, someone from Mexico came to me yesterday, and I normally do a webcast with them every week, but they said, we have one we'd like to repeat that we didn't come out well. And so after 2 or 3 hours, boom, we put it right up. It was great. It was great. Now in China, they don't do much live video. They do live video there in China. What's a real popular platform for doing videos? They have a lot of video programs, right?
Yeah, but right now most of Chinese people use the
WeChat,
mobile or computer. Most Chinese people don't see the TV right now.
How about the neurosurgeons? Do they use live video?
Yeah, yes, live video is very popular right now.
Very popular now? Okay,
I think our program will be popular soon in China.
good.
This is a big deal for Chinese neurosurgery, I think.
Oh, good.
Because you, Professor Yuha, and our hospital attach great importance to this program.
Good. It's a good start.
Yeah, let's do one step aside. Yeah, I might some also do a lot of work. Let's see.
Yeah, he knows the speakers to get. And you know, it's not a secret. Any doctor could do it if they had the time. But you know, you guys have jobs. You don't have the time to chase all over the world for neurosurgeons, but that's our job, is to try to arrange them. But you could do it, I could do it, and Sam's doing it. He has the connections, and you guys will come up with some good broadcasts.
Yeah. Let's do. Yeah, I think our chair will be online soon.
Okay. Okay, and somewhere along the line, I hope to be able to say to Yuha, who do you want, or can you get a hold of this person? You know what I mean?
I see.
And I prefer, if you can, is not to write to Yuha too much, because you know, I don't write to him much, but I told him about this. I said the president's going to give a broadcast, which I'm sure he likes that.
Yeah,
Because it shows he's taking it seriously. So I'm sure he'd be watching. Oh, matter of fact, I'm glad you reminded me. I got to send him a link to YouTube, because he'll be watching it on YouTube.
let's wait. Yeah, right now there are nearly 2,000 Chinese neurosurgeon is online.
Fantastic.
Yeah, 2,000, nearly 2,000 Chinese neurosurgeon are online.
Great. Okay, I'm sending Yuha now the YouTube video, which is, it runs with this Zoom. It's on YouTube, but he'll be able to see the YouTube without, there's no camera. He's not in the Zoom. He's just watching it. And you can see it too. If you go to our YouTube channel, can you, and I'll give you the link. I'll send the link here.
Yeah, you can see the link.
Yeah, there's a link to go to watch it on your smartphone. You'll see.
Yeah. A professor is coming. Professor Lee.
Okay. There's another Ming Lee.
Yeah, another minute. No, please rename Tian Xiaoli, not Ming Li.
Okay.
院长，你那个声音现在是静音。你把你名字换一下，你的名字也是明理。行，你把你的名字换一下。
Hello, the other Ming. How are you?
那
How are you? And Professor, where are you from?
I'm from Miami.
Miami.
Yeah,
Very good
they're
place.
right here.
Yeah.
I'm over here, about a mile. How about you? Where are you?
I'm in Zhengzhou City. 河南
Okay.
province。
You're welcome.
我给你改名字吧，我给你改了，
我改。
我改好了，给你改好了，
啊，
改好了。Professor Chen Xiaoli is our chair, department chair. Also,
okay.
Also Vice Hospital President of Henan Cerebrovascular Hospital.
Okay.
Vice Hospital President of Henan Vascular Cerebral Vascular Hospital.
Okay.
Our boss.
Oh, okay.
He's a
How many operating rooms, neurosurgery operating rooms in Henan?
In my hospital, we have six our operation room for open surgery.
Oh, okay.
Five annual room for neuro intervention, and 2 hybrid room.
Oh, okay. A lot of room.
Yeah, we are one of the biggest hospital in China. We
Yeah.
have there are more than 6,000 beds in
Wow.
our hospital.
Wow.
But by the end of this year, we will have the 8,000 beds.
Wow.
Yeah. One of the biggest hospital and one of the biggest department in China.
That's Shanghai and Beijing, right? Beijing #1, and then Shanghai #2.
But Beijing, Shanghai, the hospital beds is less than us. But maybe the neurosurgery department beds is much more is more than us. Yeah.
Okay.
Our hospital is a comprehensive hospital.
Okay. You know, Ahmed, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to say, hey, I'm John Bennett, Neurosurgical TV. Let me turn it over to the host, Ahmed. Okay, Ahmed?
Yeah. That's you should do that.
Yeah, I'll do that. And then Ahmed, because we couldn't make a background for Ahmed. But yeah, we'll put Neurosurgical TV out there in the front.
Okay.
So, okay. We have 14 minutes to start.
Yeah.
Who is the first speaker, Ahmed? Is it going to be whoever?
I don't know. That is maybe determined by Ming.
Okay.
I think the first.
It's up to you. It's up to you, Ming, who you want to do.
I think first is a broadcast for our hospital president video. Second is our department chair, Tian Xiaoli,
Right.
will introduce our department using several slides. The third is the academic discussion. First is Dr. Az from the Dubai. He will present the slides about the glioma. I think the last one is Professor Salim. How do you think, Dr. Ahmed?
Yeah, I'm not sure which of the people are trying to come in here. Are they faculty? Qian Jiao?
Yeah, Tian Xiaoli is our department chair.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I better let him in.
Okay.
Oh, okay. He's in here. He's in here. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see. Okay.
Good morning to
Good morning,
everybody.
Margarita. How are you in Madrid?
Fine. It's very hot. Very hot. Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello. How's it going?
Yeah. This is
Hi,
Ming.
hello.
Hi.
She works for Neurosurgical TV in Spain. We're trying to get things going there.
Okay, Spain. Yes, a beautiful country.
There you go.
Oh,
boy.
thank you.
My favorite. My
I know.
favorite in the world.
Yeah, very.
Well, there's Sam. Here we go with a comedy.
Yeah, summer is coming. Hi, Sam.
Hi,
Yeah, there's Sam.
how are you?
How you
Good.
doing?
I sound
Yes.
okay?
Yeah, everything's good. We're all set.
Okay.
Yeah, Sam will be co-host. John, please
Oh, yeah,
make
you gotta be
Sam as a
co-host.
co-host.
Well,
yeah.
you know how it works, Sam, right? With a co-host, that means you can let people in and you can eject people. But you won't need to do that.
Yeah, but yeah, first I don't know. Yeah, Sam is the co-host. Yeah. Yeah, what's the time in Cairo right now? 1 p.m.
No, 2 p.m.
2 p.m. You just finished your
Yep.
lunch.
Yep.
Yeah, I just finished my dinner. But John just finished his breakfast.
Breakfast. Hey, Sam, could you move the camera? Because your top part of your head is not showing. Do you see your picture there, Sam?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're there.
Thank
That's
you.
better. Yeah, that's better.
Okay now. Thank you.
Yeah, sometimes the whole show will be half a head. Now, I'll say, why didn't I tell that person to move the camera? Because so how are things going, Sam? Yeah, perhaps Ming could let you know what we're gonna do. Could you let Sam know, Ming, what we're gonna do?
Yeah, I talked with him some details. Yeah, first, yeah, maybe you or Ahmad introduce other people. Introduce other people. I and Sam will say something. And broadcast the hospital present video. Then our chair Tian Xiaoli will show some slides about our department. Then Dr. Arts, then Dr. Salim. How do you think, Sam?
It looks great, my friend.
Yeah, if you have some idea, John, if you have some idea, some of you, Ahmed, if you have some idea, please, we can coordinate right now.
Okay, well, it sounds good to me. I think we got the order. I know we're gonna screw it up, but that's okay. Just like in surgery, don't get excited. Stay calm. Right, Sam?
I think Professor Salim is here now.
Are you
Professor
here right now?
Yeah, you can let him in.
Oh, yeah, he's coming. Yeah.
Hello, guys.
Oh,
Good
there
to
he
see
is.
you.
Good
Hi,
morning.
Professor
Good morning.
Salim.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Yeah,
Good to be with you.
You met Ming before, right?
I don't know if we ever met in person. Ming, nice to meet you.
nice to meet you, Professor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
he did a fellowship at Harvard in neurosurgery research, right, Ming?
Nice.
Yeah, I worked there for 3 years. Right
Nice.
now, I'm still a research fellow. Yeah, Dr. Matusa Robot. He's my
Oh,
boss.
okay. Okay.
And Dr. Danny Kikeo is my boss.
Those are good guys. Those are good guys.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he's
I
going to
think
be
you,
the
are you familiar with them?
Yes. I know them well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Matusa and Dr. Danny Kikeo. Yeah. Two
Yeah.
people are my boss in Harvard.
That is great.
Yeah, he's going to be the interface between us and Henan, which is Yuha's hospital. It's one of the biggest in China, second or third, I believe.
Great.
So
That is good.
Ming was the interface. He's the key here,
Okay.
putting us together with the internet community of Henan.
Very nice.
Yeah, we need your help. Yeah.
Nice. Dr. Sama is here as well. Nice to see you.
Thank you, Professor Salim. I have met you in person in Cairo University before.
Yes, I remember that.
I hope I see you again
Yes.
soon.
I look forward to it.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, even though Yuha won't be physically here, he'll probably be watching on YouTube. He's a little, as you know, Slim, he's a little shy of coming to these because everybody wants to talk to him
Right.
in the Zoom, you know. where he can anonymously watch it on Zoom, on YouTube, and be able to comment too. I hope he can put some comments in what you're saying and whatever speaker's saying.
Sure,
So
sure.
we'll
Nice.
be relaying that if we hear something from you.
Right.
And tell them the numbers are already 2,000 people on WeChat.
Yeah, I think right now there are 2,000 Chinese neurosurgeons are watching.
My God, that is great. That
Yeah,
is
2,000 Chinese neurosurgeons are watching via the WeChat platform.
that is great. That is great. It's really good to hear that.
I think Dr. Salim haven't visited Zhengzhou before.
No, I have been to Beijing. I've been to Shanghai, but I have not been to other cities. I look forward to doing that in the future.
Yeah, if the various situation become very light, yeah, I hope you can visit our department.
I look forward to it. We will share our numbers, our WhatsApp, and let's stay in touch, Dr. Ming.
Okay, yeah, I know you are the world-class neurosurgeon. Yeah, I heard you for many times.
Thank you. It's
Well,
my
it's
honor.
very lucky to invite you be here to present for our Central China neurosurgeon.
I'm very honored. I'm honored to be
There
here.
now 2,000 Chinese neurosurgeons are waiting.
Yes, I'm honored to be here for sure with you.
Okay.
Hi, Professor. Can you hear me?
Hi, yes, Ahmed, I can hear you.
I'm very excited to see you here again, and I'd like to see you a lot.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Man, do you have your camera? Your camera's working okay?
Yes.
Oh, there you go. It wasn't on. Okay, we have
Hi,
4
Ahmed.
minutes.
How are you?
I'm fine. Hi, Professor.
Nice to see you.
I'm very excited to see you again, sir. By the way, I would like to travel to Grand Congress, so I think I have to travel first to Cairo. So if I travel to Cairo, I would like to meet you there.
It will be my pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks.
Dr. Sam and Dr. Salim. Yeah, our department chair, Tian Xiaoli, is also here.
Great.
Yeah, department chair. Yeah.
Well, nice to have you, Professor, with us.
There he is. Okay.
Nice to see you, Professor.
Good to see you, Professor. Good to see you. Yes, I'm honored that you're here.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, this is a big day for starting this channel. Opening up a bit of China.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great to connect with our colleagues in China for sure.
Yeah, I hope you can visit our department.
I will look forward to this. I will look forward to this for sure. Okay.
Have you been in China?
Yeah, I look forward to in the near future as things get better with all the regulations around the world. I would love to come to China again. It would be my honor, Professor.
Okay.
I visited Beijing and Shanghai before. Yeah.
Yes, Beijing and Shanghai. I've been there as visiting professor before, but would love to come to your department as well.
Welcome to our hospital.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Professor.
Welcome all. 2 minutes to start, Ming. Okay.
Oh yeah. I saw that. Yeah, 2 minutes. Maybe John will introduce. We'll have speak something. Then Ahmed. Then I will speak something. Then our hospital president will deliver his video. And potentially, professor will show some slides about our department. Yeah, and then we will start our academic discussion. The first one is Dr. Arts, but I haven't saw Dr. Arts. Where is he? From Dubai, I can't see him.
Who's that, Wing?
Dr. Arts, Dr. with Mars from Dubai.
Yeah, I communicated with him yesterday. He asked that I go first and then him second, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
Okay.
So
But he haven't told me.
Okay, you're in contact with him, right?
Yeah, I
Wing?
contacted him yesterday. I asked him what he feels comfortable with. He said he wanted me to go first. I said, that's okay. I'm totally fine with that.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, 30 seconds, we start.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's coming. Yeah.
Jeez. Okay, go ahead, Ming. We're not started yet. What do you have to say?
Yeah. Can you speak something firstly, John?
Can what?
Can you speak? Can
I speak?
Yeah.
You start this session, John,
Yeah,
as usual.
Okay, you ready? Okay, here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good morning from Miami Beach. This is Dr. John Bennett from the home of Neurosurgical TV. I have the great honor of starting a groundbreaking webinar, the Central China Grand Rounds, a legacy of Yuha. And I'll start things off immediately by introducing one of the hosts, Ahmed. Hello, Ahmed.
Hi, thank you, John. First of all, I'm going to introduce myself. Here's Ahmed Al-Ghanmi, the president of Artery and Industrial Student Club of Yemen. I'm also a marketing administrator at Abdul University of Neurosurgery. I would like to thank John for choosing me to represent Neurosurgical TV for Chinese Grand Round in Neurosurgery. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Ming Li. Hi, Dr. John. Ming, sorry.
So, yeah, first, I think, thank you, Ahmed and Sam and Dr. Salim and Dr. Wismans and John for do a lot of work for this ground round. And the department, our department chair, Tian Xiaoli, also very attach importance to this ground round. So, first, welcome to Central China Neurosurgery Ground Round. I'm Ming Li, Associate Professor in Henan Provincial People's Hospital, Zhengzhou, Henan, China. Here's the Asian China and the Central China. Our hospital and department is one of the largest in China. 3 weeks ago, Professor Salim, Professor Sam talked to me about some case discussion. So we opened this ground round for all the neurosurgeons to exchange the new clinical texts, research and teaching. Hope this ground round will be one of the best in the Asia. Our hospital attach great importance to this ground round. Hospital president Chuan Liangchen will deliver speech using Chinese through his video and welcome all the neurosurgeons to visit us. Department Chair Tian Xiaoli is online as a panelist right now. Hope other neurosurgeons worldwide to join this ground. Sam and me will take care of you carefully. If some people would like to present or exchange the ideas, please contact me or Sam or John. Anyone is fine. At last, thank you, Neurosurgical TV. We chat platform, the speakers, my hospital president, my department chair, all the colleagues who are watching us today for share with us the guidance and experience. Yeah. Next, Sam, do you want to speak something?
Okay.
Thank you, Ming, for gathering us today. And now we will start with your program. Please introduce the first one. Thank you.
Are we going to see the president's video now, Ming?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
here we go.
主席，凯尔克教授，尊敬的各位专家、各位同道，大家好。代表着丹地神经外科协会、世界神经外科联合会、世界颅底协会、德国国家肿瘤中心以及国内外学术媒体的大力支持下，第一期中原神经肿瘤国际讨论会正式开幕。首先，我谨代表河南省人民医院向出席会议的各位专家和同道表示热烈的欢迎，向大家长期以来致力于推动全球神经外科领域事业发展致以崇高的敬意。河南省人民医院是一所拥有118年历史的百年老院，植根中原大地，文化底蕴深厚，学科实力突出，秉承仁爱、博学、严谨、卓越的办院精神，服务保障人民群众生命健康，凝练塑造了人民医院服务人民的百年省医品牌形象。目前，医院拥有国家区医疗中心1个，国家级培训中心17个，国家临床重点专科12个，河南省医学重点学科24个，省级自控诊疗与研究中心45个，省级医学中心4个，省级临床医学研究中心5个，成功开展心脏移植、人工心脏、双肺移植等标志性技术。在全国抗击新冠肺炎疫情表彰大会上，被党中央、国务院、中央军委授予全国抗击新冠肺炎疫情先进集体、全国先进技能党组织。河南省脑血管医院是整合我院神经内科、神经外科、神经介入等脑部疾病相关学科成立的院中院，是国家高级注重中心，拥有移动注重救治单元、优化国际神经外科中心，全国首家磁共振引导聚焦超声帕金森症战治疗中心，国内首个一站式多模态影像注重救治平台，多项业务技术填补国内省内空白。神经外科是我院发展的重点学科。近年来，与美国哈佛大学麻省总医院、美国哈佛大学布莱根医院、美国梅奥诊所、明尼苏达大学、德国海德堡大学、德国德累斯顿工业大学等世界一流院所神经外科在人才培养、临床创新诊疗技术开展、科技发展等方面建立了紧密合作关系，实现了医教研协调跨越发展，国际影响力显著提升。本次大会受到了国际主流神经外科组织的高度重视。丹德神经外科协会全球主席Saleem教授、世界神经外科联合会神经肿瘤主席萨姆教授等世界一流的神经外科专家将亲自授课，围绕输送唤醒技术在神经外科中的作用主题，与大家共话技能提升、共商诊疗方案、共谋未来发展。盼望各位专家不吝赐教，也能为河南省神经外科事业发展多提宝贵意见和建议。同时，也希望以此次大会为契机，促进未来我省医疗机构与国际知名神经外科研究所和专家学者建立更广泛深入的合作交流关系。最后，希望各位代表珍惜机会，瞄准国际学术前沿，认真学习借鉴，携手为推动我省神经外科诊疗水平再提高，增进人民健康福祉做出新的更大贡献。最后，预祝会议 圆满成功。祝各位专家、各位头脑身体健康，万事如意。谢谢大家。
Okay, back to you, Ming.
Yeah, I think the main meaning of the hospital present is about, so yeah, thank you, Professor Salim and Professor Sam. Thank you support for this grand round. Yeah, introduce about something about our hospital. Yeah, welcome all the people to visit us. Yeah. The second one is my department chair will introduce our department and the hospital. Yeah.
Dear Professor Salim, Professor Sam, Professor Tariq, dear all professors and colleagues on the line tonight. Thank you for your attending to the fourth Central China Neurosurgery Grand Round. It's my great honor to be here to introduce our hospital. My name is Li Tianxiao. I'm an interventional neuroradiologist. Now I'm in charge of Henan Provincial Cerebrovascular Hospital, which is a branch hospital of Henan Province People's Hospital, affiliated to Zhengzhou University. On the world map, you can see China located in the East Asia. It's the most populous country with about 1.4 billion population in the world. Henan province is located in central China, and there are more than 100 million population in Henan province. Zhengzhou city is the capital of Henan province. Its population is more than 10 million. The north of the city is by the Yellow River. The famous tourist attraction, Shaolin Temple, is in the west of Zhengzhou city.
Dear Professor, we can't see your slides moving.
This is the Yellow River.
Oh, we can't see. I can't see the slides.
Large river.
Yeah, excuse me, your slides aren't moving, Professor. Your slides aren't moving.
Oh.
Okay. I'm sorry, we could have told you earlier. I'm sorry.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, just there you go.
China is here.
Yeah.
Now Henan province is located in the center of China.
There we go. Okay.
This is the capital of Henan province, Zhengzhou city. Yellow River, very beautiful. And Shaolin Temple in the west of Zhengzhou city. Now I would like to introduce Henan Province People's Hospital and Henan Provincial Cerebrovascular Hospital. We call it IPSCH for short. This is a broad view of main campus of Henan Provincial People's Hospital. Apart from the main district, we also have 4 branch hospitals, which are Henan Provincial Cerebrovascular Hospital and Cardiovascular Disease Hospital, Eye Hospital, and Reproductive Hospital. Totally, we have more than 6,000 beds. This is the overview of hospital. We have 113 clinical departments with more than 6,000 beds, which is one of the biggest general hospitals in China. Our outpatient number are more than 3 million last year. Neurosurgical procedure are more than 3,000 cases last year. Endovascular procedure are more than 10,000 last year. The Henan Provincial Cerebrovascular Hospital was approved by government 10 years ago. It includes the departments of neurology, neurosurgery, neurointerventional, and rehabilitation, and neuro emergency. It is the only brain specialist hospital in Henan province so far. This is about the medical team and the clinical workload of cerebral vascular heart failure. There are 182 doctors and more than 300 nurses. In last year, outpatient number were more than 170,000 inpatient patients. And total surgery number was more than 15,000 in last year. And this is the whole team of Yuha Hernium International Center for Neurosurgery, including stroke center and neurointervention. Currently, all hospitals have 6 operation rooms for open surgery and 5 angio rooms and 2 hybrid surgery rooms. All hospitals have finished the screening work of high-risk stroke patients at a yearly volume of 20,000 at the National Cerebral Stroke Center. We have brought the first mobile CT stroke ambulance in China. We also have 4 helicopter and built air and ground transport system in central China. Sorry. There are 27 subspecialties of neurosurgery, neurology, and neurology in IGPCH. Almost all kinds of neurosurgical procedure can be performed, including the trauma, pituitary tumor, malignant glioma, spinal mass, brainstem mass, and pediatric neurosurgery, function neurosurgery as well. For some complicated aneurysm and myeloma disease, open neurosurgery of clamping and artery bypass can be performed by our teams. For the cerebral vascular disease, including ischemic and bleeding cases, almost all patients can be treated by our teams, such as aneurysm calling, stenting graft, and follow devoted treatment, and so on. And completed AVM can be done with creative embolization by glue, cooling, and ethanol, and so on. Another complex procedure is recanalization of chronic carotid artery occlusion with hybrid procedure. We have more than 300 cases experiences. We have held many national and international conferences, such as the first Chinese Neuro Interventional Congress, the Forum of Central China Cerebral Vascular Disease Forum 7 years ago. We had held 4 times of Shaolin International Neurosurgery Conference from 4 years ago, near 3,000 participants every time. Furthermore, we had held more than 50 times of online international webinars for neurosurgery after COVID-19 from 2 years ago. We also performed international cooperation and communication with many foreign institutes and universities. For example, the Swiss Federation Technical Institute, University of Louisville, and etc. And at the same time, we also accept more than 10 international fellows to come here for study. Our hospital has been granted more than 20 high-level research and project center, including the Advanced Medical Research of Zhengzhou University. The hospital is one of the 7 training centers for National Advanced Stroke Center. It's named by Ministry of Health in China. And this is an overview of our hospital. Thank you again for attending this meeting. Welcome to visit our hospital in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Lee. Yeah, so brief introduction for our department, our hospital. So I think Sam and Professor Salim with some question. Professor Salim and Sam, do you have some question to ask?
No, I'd like to say this is really impressive. The hospital, the cerebrovascular hospital that you have in the volume and the number of cases that you see, it's really impressive in China that you are really able to centralize care in this way, which in the long run will improve outcomes of patients because you're getting so much experience, so much data. So it's an impressive system, Professor Lee. I mean, that was really a beautiful presentation, very impressive.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, Professor Lee, for this introduction for your incredible department that you have there. I am Dr. Sameh Al-Mousi, co-chairman of World Federation Neurosurgery Neuro-Oncology Committee. I'd like to thank my dear colleagues to join us today. Glad to start this educational collaboration with our Chinese colleagues. And now we will start our scientific program by lecture of Professor Salim Abdul. Professor Salim is a senior professor of neurosurgery, an international figure, well-known figure, who has no need to introduce him. Please, Professor Salim, it's over to you. Thank you.
Thank you for that your kind words, Professor Sameh. I'll go ahead and start sharing my screen. John, if you could allow me to share my screen here.
Yeah.
it should be, there you go.
First of all, it's my honor to be with you here. Thank you, John. Thank you, Dr. Ming Li, for your coordination. Thank you, Dr. Sameh, for your leadership. Also, my co-speaker, Dr. Aziz, today, I acknowledge him. Professor Lee Ting-Chai, you give a great presentation. It's good to know about your hospital and your region in China. Today, I will speak to you about the concept of awake surgery for complex aneurysms and vascular malformations. In the cases I'm going to show today, we of course decide which cases need to have endovascular treatment, which cases need to have microsurgical treatment, and the cases I'm going to show you are purely microsurgical cases. Of course, up front, we need to decide which case is best treated endovascularly, so that has to be done first. And then I'm going to show you the cases that are the microsurgical cases. So I wanted to take you through the, so the question is, people ask me, what is the benefit of doing awake surgery for aneurysms? So I want to explain this to you in a case early on in my experience, and I want to show you here. This is a simple grade 1 subarachnoid hemorrhage of a small middle cerebral artery aneurysm. It's a good case to make the point I'm going to make to you here. So that's a small, wide neck, thin. So this is a setup for the awake surgery.
It's comfortable, even though on the EEG,
It's very comfortable. You see, the patient is not intubated. He has a face mask on, and he's very comfortable. He's fully sedated for the beginning of the surgery. Comfort of the patient is a critical element that we have evolved in this technique.
Yeah, very comfortable.
Generally,
so because this was part of a study, we did EEG, SSCP, and motor evoked potentials for every patient so that we could compare it to general anesthesia. So here we are in the left sylvian fissure, okay? That's the aneurysm right here, all right? And just want to show you the anatomy of the situation for a second. So the M1 is down here. Let me just change this here. The M1 is down here. Okay. There are 3 M2s. There's another 3 M2s here. Okay. So that's the aneurysm here. The M1 is down here. We can hardly see it right now. Okay. So as we go here, is my standard technique. I mean, you know, I don't like to use retractors. This is a perforator stuck to the dome of the aneurysm. I like to look circumferentially around the aneurysm, okay? Just to make sure there are no perforators, okay? I'm now behind the aneurysm. You see that's a third M3, M2 there, okay? So I want to look all the way around the aneurysm because my biggest concern is don't put a clip on an aneurysm until you see circumferentially, perforators or anything else. As you see, this is a grade 1 subarachnoid hemorrhage, so we are, you know, seeing blood in this area. Okay. So now I'm seeing that third M2 here. Okay, fine. All right. So now I need to explain to you why I'm showing you this case. There's an important issue here that I need to show you. Okay. I like to, just for the residents, sharply dissect behind the aneurysm to make sure everything is good. Okay, fine. Now,
Squeeze my finger.
I'm putting a temporary clip on the M1 because it's a thin-walled aneurysm. It's already ruptured. The minute I put a temporary clip on, we test the patient. Of course, I control our hand, the right hand. We're in the left sylvian fissure. This is a standard we do, okay? To see the patient is tolerating the temporary clipping.
Very excellent.
The patient immediately tolerates the temporary clipping within the first few seconds. EEG, SSCP, totally normal. This is in real time. Let me show you what happens in the next 20 seconds, okay?
I'm great, buddy, okay?
So I'm talking to the patient.
Anything right now.
It's my technique to shrink the, this is a wide neck aneurysm, so I'm shrinking it, okay? I'm shrinking it so that I can create a new neck for this aneurysm right here. This is all in real time, okay? And the patient so far is doing okay, all right? As I'm shrinking the aneurysm.
Fingers here. You move these fingers?
Within 20 seconds, he says, I cannot move my hand. We're like, try again. He said, I cannot move my hand. Okay. The important thing that I want to tell you, which is really important here, is that EEG, SSEP, and motor evoked potentials are all normal, while he cannot move his hand. But this is a gold standard. We know right away that there is a problem with the collateral flow, but these are normal, okay? So this is a point I'm trying to make, all right? So the minute he cannot...
You move these fingers, Carrie? He's not moving his fingers.
So you hear me, I tell them, give me the temporary clip of removal right away. I don't want to keep a clip on the M1. Now I remove the temporary clip. I say, forget the temporary clip on the M1. I'm going to go ahead and clip this aneurysm without a temporary clip.
Carrie, right here.
The minute we remove the temporary clip, within seconds, he's moving his hand. The whole time, the EEG, SSTP, motor were normal, okay? So this is a false positive, false negative of electrophysiological testing that I'm looking at.
Excellent.
You see, he's totally fine. Okay, so that's a point that I wanted to make up front. What is the advantage? We all know there are cases we do where everything is fine, everything during surgery is fine, and the patient wakes up with a deficit or a stroke, and we don't know why. This is the reason why. The reason is there are patients in which by mistake a perforator is clipped or a temporary clip is left too long and the monitoring is normal and the patient wakes up with a deficit. This technique avoids that problem. So that's the point. I published our first 30 cases of early on. I published our first 30 cases in this experience. And what we looked at is my first 30 cases of awake surgery compared to large data banks in the United States of aneurysms, of large data banks by region of the country. And what we looked at is, okay, what was the length of stay in the hospital? This is for unruptured now, for this specific unruptured aneurysm. Length of stay was 3 days. In the general anesthesia cases, it ranged between 5, 7 days, 8 to 9 days, okay? Discharge to a facility, not home, meaning going to nursing home or rehabilitation, meaning they had a problem, okay? In the awake cases, only 1 patient. In the general anesthesia cases, 16%, 16%, 7% compared to 1%. Okay. Most important thing, of course, is stroke. What was the risk stroke? Well, the stroke was 1 patient, which is 3% under the awake. It was 13%, 14% under general anesthesia. Okay. Modified Rankin scale looks at the functional outcome. It's not available for the large series. Luckily, we had 1, so most patients went into normal functional outcome. Mortality is rare in unruptured aneurysms. Luckily, in our awake cases, 0 mortality. But in the general anesthesia cases, it's very small, but less than 2%. So anyway, this was the earliest report that we had in the Journal of Neurosurgery in 2017, explaining our early experience. Okay. Now the next concept is what's the benefit of awake extracranial to intracranial bypass surgery? Okay, let me show you that. Many of you know that the way I do bypass surgery is I have this technique, where I use the internal maxillary artery here to the middle cerebral artery bypass. Instead of going all the way from here to here, high flow bypass, I do it from here to here. And I'm honored that, this technique is named for Abdul bypass surgery. I'm very humbled by that, but that is the technique I use. This was a cover page of Neurosurgery article. So let's go through this. So I'll show you that what's the advantage of doing this awake. So first, I'm going to show you, this is the internal maxillary artery here, okay? So of course, now with flow diverters, it's only very specific few cases I need high flow bypass. Flow diverters now can really deal with a lot of these complex aneurysms, but there are cases they cannot, and that's when we consider high flow bypass. So this is a maxillary artery. That's a maxillary artery right here. We're going to attach it there and do the bypass from here to here instead of all the way from the neck. Now you have to harvest a radial artery graft. You see, we have to harvest a radial artery graft. We have to have an incision on the head and an incision on the neck, okay? So just to explain to the residents in the room what is the plan is. So if this is the patient's head, and this is the neck, okay. And this is the carotid artery, external, internal, okay. And there is the carotid artery or whatever, let's say there's a giant aneurysm here, okay. The idea is, the traditional technique is that we do a graft, and this, let's say this is one of the MCA. We do a graft from here. Let's do a different color. From here to here. So the bypass will go this way. And then once the bypass is in, we occlude the internal carotid artery here all the way to here. So now the blood is going from here to the rest of the brain, okay? For my technique, instead of going all the way from here, I go from the maxillary artery here to here, instead of going all the way here, and then we close off the whole internal carotid artery. So you have to have an incision in the head, incision in the neck, and incision in the arm to harvest the radial artery, which will come here to there, okay? So 3 incisions. We need an incision in the neck to occlude the carotid artery at the end of surgery. In awake surgery, how do we do the harvest? This is under a local block, a regional block in the arm, okay? So we have a cranial incision and a neck incision, okay? And this is my chief resident and fellow doing that.
In the same time,
That's the radial artery here, okay? Okay. First step is we attach the radial artery to the maxillary artery, which is not a problem because the maxillary artery does not supply the brain. So temporary clipping the maxillary artery is not a problem, okay? So I'm attaching the radial artery to the maxillary artery in the temporal fossa. Next, this is a flow coming from the radial artery. This is the maxillary artery. Okay. Now I need to explain to you what is the advantage of doing this surgery awake. There are 2 steps that are the highest risk steps in high flow bypass surgery. Number 1, we need to anastomose the radial artery to the whatever middle cerebral artery, okay? So we're bringing our radial artery and attaching it to the middle cerebral artery, okay? Of course, to attach this in the sylvian fissure, we have to temporarily occlude this M2 or M3 branch. This temporary occlusion, depending how long this anastomosis takes, is temporarily occluding a middle cerebral artery branch. How do we know that this patient is tolerating this temporary occlusion? As I showed you in the first case, I will know 100% if the patient is tolerating temporary occlusion of the middle cerebral artery. If they are not, I will go to another one, another middle cerebral artery, until I find the one that there is enough collateral flow. So I do not risk this time of temporary occlusion. Number 2, after the bypass is in, we need to take the big step. We need to occlude permanently the patient's carotid artery in the neck. Remember, the patient lived with this carotid artery all their life. How do I know 100% that my bypass is so good that's bringing enough flow to the brain and I can occlude the carotid artery? Under general anesthesia, we did this all the time, but you're praying, you're hoping everything is fine because EEG and SSVP can fail you. But under awake, I'm going to temporarily occlude the carotid first, test the patient for 10, 20 minutes, make sure everything is okay before I permanently occlude the carotid artery. Those are the 2 steps that are highest risk steps in high flow bypass. By doing this technique, I avoid these 2 situations. So let's go. So now I'm going to find this. Okay, I say I want this M2. Let me put a temporary clip and test the patient. Make sure the patient can tolerate.
Yeah, squeeze my hand. Perfect. Let go.
You see, the patient is tolerating the occlusion of that branch. So I'm anastomosing. I'm totally fine. If did not tolerate it, I will go to another one. Okay, good. Now I'm happy. Now this is a bypass from there to there. I'm happy with it. Now the big thing, which is closure of the carotid artery in the neck, okay? I am temporarily gonna occlude the internal carotid artery, just temporarily, just to make sure everything is okay. "10-minute occlusion test before I permanently occlude the carotid, okay?
Deborah, squeeze my hand again. Deborah, squeeze my hand real tight. All right, let go. Let go. Perfect. Good job. Look at your toes, Deborah. Look at your toes.
Great.
The issue is you will know in the first few minutes, but I do 20 minutes just to be 100% sure. A temporary occlusion, hypotensive challenge just to be sure.
Great job.
So now I permanently occlude the internal carotid artery. That's a bypass. You see from here to here instead of all the way from here to there. So this is a IMAX technique. I'm honored the naming by Professor Spessler for the technique for me. Okay. So when you look at high flow bypass, I compared in this publication all the high flow bypass large series that have been published for carotid artery giant aneurysms. These are mostly before flow diverters. And what I did here, which is really important, is I compared myself, first 30 awake cases, to my general anesthesia cases before, okay? And you see the difference when I converted to the awake in my own hands, okay? We went from graft patency of 90% to 100% in awake. We went from stroke risk of 13.6% to 7%, half. Modified Rankin scale is not available, but we have really good. And mortality, as you know, mortality for high flow bypass can be pretty high in certain series, 13%, 13%. I went from 5.4% to 0%, okay? So this is my own experience comparing myself to myself, okay? Okay, fine. Okay, next and finally, awake surgery for AVMs. What is the advantage of doing awake surgery for AVMs? Let's look at this case here. This is a young lady who has this AVM in the motor strip, okay? She had radiosurgery 3 years before for this AVM. And now she presented to her city in the United States with a small hemorrhage from this AVM. So they sent her to me because this is a motor strip AVM. So let's talk about this case for a second. Okay, so for the residents, there are 3 main issues in feeding an AVM like this that we have to really address. So this is the AVM here in the motor strip. What are the risks? Number 1, it is in the motor strip, the actual location. So anything you do here is risky and you have to be careful, okay? What is number 2? Well, these middle cerebral artery branches are also have branches supplying the motor strip. So what can happen by mistake, if you occlude a normal branch next to the AVM by mistake, because you cannot tell the difference, you will also have a stroke, a motor stroke, okay? What is number 3? Is these deep feeders, lenticulostriate feeders coming deep. Now, these are supplying the internal capsule here as well as the AVM. So if you, by mistake, take one of the normal branches going to the internal capsule and not the AVM feeder, then you can have a stroke, okay? So 3 things in a case like this can cause a problem, okay? These are the 3 things, all right? So how are we gonna avoid these things? Let me show you. So this is, as you see, this is the AVM right here in the motor strip, okay? That's AVM in the motor strip.
I don't want to.
So I'm operating, this is central sulcus. As you see, is a lot of adhesions because she's had previous blood. See how comfortable the patient is and how I'm talking to her. This surgery is done in this way.
You don't watch movies. Not very much. I work and I watch Netflix and I hang out with my kids.
I see. How about TV? Do you watch much TV?
Yeah, my favorite.
It's the best.
That's exactly what I'm
So I'm going to give you a few days vacation. Patient is comfortable. I know she's doing okay. So my speaking with her gives me tremendous feedback, okay? Now, let's get into this artery here. I'm concerned the motor strip. Is this a normal artery or is it really truly only supplying the AVM? I'll show you.
Awesome.
I'll let you, there's no better show. You see what I'm going to do? Okay, I'm not sure 100%. Every AVM surgeon here knows, those of, that we always, this is an issue always happens. Under general anesthesia, you don't know, and you're guessing. I'm going to put a temporary clip on this feeder. Okay, I'm going to test the patient.
Can you here to squeeze your hand? Okay.
She's squeezing just fine. okay, for the residents. And if it's an AVM feeder, it's 100% supplying the AVM, the patient will move her hand, she'll be totally fine. If it is a normal vessel supplying a motor strip, she will have a problem with her hand. So 100%, it's not, see, I'm gonna take it. I'm fine, I'm happy with it, okay? Same thing now, these are the deep, remember those lenticular striate feeders. Now, I'm not sure about this one. This is a lenticular striate feeder going to capsule, or is this AVM feeder? I'm gonna put a clip on it. Now I'm gonna test the patient. Now, of course, this is a capsule, so I'm gonna test the arm and leg, okay?
Can you squeeze? Perfect. And toes.
See that? So I'm happy. She's moving, that means I can do that, okay? So that's how we do the whole surgery, okay? That's her, this was, she only stayed in the hospital a couple of days. She didn't have general anesthesia, so it's a very quick recovery and so forth, okay? Let's see, how much time do I still have, Dr. Ming and Dr. Sam?
Still the same.
I'm sorry?
Yeah,
Continue. Okay, thank
Almost.
you. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. So let me show you a case that is really, this is a patient I have known after I finished my fellowship at Yale, I came and I knew him growing up, he and him together. I knew him, say he was like 11 years old. I was just starting. He had this massive AVM, okay? Now, of course, he presented with a bleed here, but massive AVM, okay? And I always said, this is not operable, leave it alone, okay? It's a very large AVM, okay, right here. The whole area, all the way up to the pulvinar of the thalamus, all the way up to the pulvinar of the thalamus, okay? Up to the motor strip, okay? I watched him for 10 years, my whole career, until he shows up one day to the ICU, he bleeds, okay? He bleeds, okay? Luckily, I mean, this was a very bad problem. This is really essentially, so I knew his parents very well. I said to them, I've always told you, this really should never be operated on, grade 5. But I said, he's a young guy, he bled, and I just started my experience with awake surgery. And I felt more confident with awake than I would ever. I mean, here you're doing motor area, vision, thalamus. It's an impossible situation. So I'm going to show you what I did here. So that's the AVM here, okay? So this is me now dissecting it. As you've seen, I like
What's your favorite kind of music?
Well, I like AC/DC and
you see the comfort of the patient, okay?
Dr. Ragu here likes his favorite, man. He likes the police. What do you say about that? Don't be. Please.
I'm just kidding, man.
I'm upset, okay?
You're all cool guys, yeah. Think about my vision part.
What's that?
He's asking about his vision. I told him beforehand, we're in this area, there could be a risk to half of his vision. So we have an ophthalmologist in the room, and every time I'm checking any major feeders to the parieto-occipital area, to the occipital area, we're testing his vision to make sure we don't take any normal vessels. Same thing when we come to the motor area, I'm going to be testing motor. When coming to the thalamus, we're going to check all functions related to that. So every part of the AVM, I'm testing the right functions for the right vessels.
I think my vision so far.
Your vision is okay so far.
Yeah.
Nothing you need to do.
You're fine now.
Why did you decide to operate on it?
Yeah.
Because for the residents, when you get a little bleeding, don't freak out. It's very easily controllable. It's very nice techniques that we show you. And here the patient is awake. We cannot be, so you gotta be just calm and just keep working with it, okay?
You see, for the years that you and I have been watching this, this is not a simple AVM, and I didn't want to take any chances, but it started acting up quite bad recently, and I thought once and for all, we take care of it for you. Because when you just got admitted to the ICU, you had a lot of swelling and so forth in the brain. And I said, you know what? We just can't take any more chances with it.
These are the large now I'm coming down towards the tentorium. Large venous aneurysms. I'm shrinking these down, okay?
Right.
So I'm so glad we're just gonna take care of it for all.
Yeah. Get rid of it.
Right.
Like I said, my mom likes you. You're a cool guy, and people
You're a trooper, man. You and I have been watching.
a long time.
This is all the way down at the
I have faith
tentorium.
in you, bud.
And I'm testing every area I'm in for the right function, so we don't take any normal vessels. That's the whole purpose of this. Okay. That's him post-op day 7 in clinic after his surgery. First time in his life, his AVM free. I would have never been able to do this surgery beforehand under general anesthesia. Okay. Let me quickly show you one more case that is one of the probably one of the most complex cases in my whole career. Okay. This is a young guy again who has an AVM inside the brainstem, completely inoperable. Okay, right there. He in a different part of the United States. He had 2 bleeds going up as a child. He was treated with multiple embolizations and radiosurgery, which was the only right treatment because the neurosurgery would have been the right treatment for this. Okay. Now he's older and he had a 3rd hemorrhage, where he is completely intubated, 2 ventriculostomies, blood in the ICU. He was transferred to me to see if there is anything that can be done. After he had this, he started to wake up. Now he has baseline deficits. He has ipsilateral 6th, 7th nerve, hearing loss from previous hemorrhages, has slight weakness on one side of the body. So has multiple deficits over the years. Okay. AVM very complex inside the pons. Okay, it's a diffuse AVM. Okay, so this is a basilar artery, P1, P1. That's inside the brainstem. I sat down with the parents. I told them, really, I don't think we could do anything. I mean, this is a complex situation. I just don't think it's inside the brainstem. You know, after a lot of discussion with them, I said there is one possibility that we can operate, but normally we never operate inside the brainstem like this. That we are doing cases now awake. That may be an advantage, but I cannot guarantee anything. The parents said he's going to die anyway. He's had multiple hemorrhages. Why don't we give him a chance? So I agreed at that point to proceed with surgery. Okay. So today is not the day, but this is what we call the total petrectomy transcochlear approach. You know, in other lectures we can go through this. But anyway, this is the vertebral artery, basilar artery, 6th cranial nerve. Okay, on this side. Okay. So surgery around the brainstem is very different ball game. You see, these are the small feeders coming into the AVM. I'm taking it right there. Okay, this patient is awake. He's doing very well. I'm talking to him the whole time. This is a large draining vein right there. Okay. Here is different than other AVMs. You can only see this is a feeder coming from ICA, but in brainstem surgery, you can only take it as it enters the nidus. You cannot take it anywhere earlier because any normal feeder to the brainstem is a problem. Okay. So here it is.
Squeeze it real hard.
I'm testing every time. I'm testing.
Good.
Okay. Testing every vessel that I touch. And I told the family that I may abort the procedure if there are vessels that are just supplying the brainstem. I'm not feel comfortable. I will stop. I told them that beforehand. Okay. Now this is you see off the basilar, med basilar. This is the big feeders coming into the AVM. Okay. The patient is doing great. He's actually talking to me. We're discussing sports and stuff the whole time, which is really cool. Okay. And this is our last large vein after I've taken all the feeders. Okay. So I'm holding the last large vein here in my bipolar. Okay. And once I take that, that's post-op CT scan. That's his angio, pre-op AP. That was his AVM. That's a post-operative angiogram. Pre-op lateral, you remember that AVM, post-op. Okay. That's his incision. Okay. That I did for this total picture. He's my friend on Facebook. You know, these are the messages he sends me all the time. Okay. He's back to his baseline function and he's very happy. Now, this is a case I show just because what can be done. a grade 5 AVM like this should never be operated on. This was a very, very specific scenario that we had to do, and luckily everything went fine. But the point I'm trying to make, the awake allowed us to do it. I would have never been able to do this under general anesthesia. There's no way, okay? And that's the point I'm trying to make. This is our review of our AVMs. So these are some of the largest series, over 100 AVMs, and that are published in literature. Of course, China has some very big series now. Of course, those will be included. This is my number of AVMs. And you see over the years, we're getting better with morbidity and mortality when it comes to AVMs. And this is comparing the standard technique in my hands versus advanced technique like I just showed you, how in my own hands, we decrease morbidity and mortality in AVMs. Best comparison is compared to yourself. That way you're not being sensitive with someone else. Okay, so the question you'll have, how did we do this awake surgery? This was under hospital approval. This is a committee. This is what these are the 4 steps of consent. By me, the surgeon, this is for unruptured cases, outpatient clinic with the patient and family to discuss the awake option. Me, the surgeon, talking to the patient and family the day of surgery, talking about the awake option. Anesthesiologist talking to the patient independently and the resident, okay? This was a protocol. This was approved only for complex aneurysms and AVMs, not simple aneurysms and AVMs initially. Why? The committee felt that in literature in neurosurgery, simple AVMs and aneurysms already have reasonably good outcomes. So that would be hard to do a study like this. But for complex, the outcomes are not so good in neurosurgical literature study. If you can show us that you could improve outcome in the complex lesions, then it can be applied across the board. So this was the initial approval. Contraindications, patient declines option. Patient says, no, thank you. Or the anesthesiologist says the airway, I'm not comfortable with it. We don't want to do awake, fine. These were 2 contraindications. So in this study period, I did a total of 202 complex aneurysms in AVM, okay? Of those, 162 underwent awake, which is 80%. And this is the data from the committee. This is from electronic health record. This is them independently looking at all my information. You see type of anesthesia, this is all conscious sedation, meaning awake. Any personal information is covered up, morbidity, mortality, okay? And I'll show you this data in detail in a minute here. Okay, so this was the awake arm. This was the 40 patients that declined the awake and they had under general anesthesia. And this is those patients here, okay? So this was the summary report of my experience in awake complex aneurysms in AVMs. The complex were defined for aneurysms, giant, large, partially calcified, or needing ECIC bypass, okay? Of course, these are cases, the endovascular cases were not included here, okay? That's for AVMs, grade 3 and above, okay? So what did we see here? We essentially, in my own hands, my own team, for complex aneurysms and AVMs, we went from 10% morbidity to under awake to 4.3%. Mortality, we went from 2.5% to 1.8%, okay, combined. So this is the impact of the technique as we have done it, okay? And to put humility aside, you know, I have reviewed and looked at journal articles of the last 20 years in neurosurgery. I'm not aware of any single variable in the field of neurosurgery in the last 20 years, new microscope, new technique, new clips, new whatever, that have had this much outcome difference on complex aneurysms, AVMs in the field of neurosurgery. So I'm humbled and honored by that. I want to finish at the end, just make a quick comment about the research institute that we have, and we would love to have our colleagues around the world and from China to be involved. We have, for our University of Neurosurgery, we have a research institute, which is a very complex issue. IRB, which is what showed you institutional review and everything. And what we are doing essentially is for neurosurgeons who are very busy and hard for them to do, you know, a lot of big studies. We're talking about multi-center, multinational clinical projects, okay? And what we do, we ask neurosurgeons to become principal investigators, and we provide the team of research that will do the research with them, collecting data, analyzing data, and collecting data from around the world, okay? And that's the teams we will provide to the neurosurgeon who wants to become a principal investigator. This is a QR code for any neurosurgeon who wants to become a principal investigator of a large project with a team from us that does all that work. You're welcome to become part of that. And so that's for the neurosurgeon. That is for the resident who becomes part of these teams. That's for the medical students who want to become part of those teams. These are the QR codes. If you're interested, please fill out the form. We welcome you to become part of these projects with us. Thank you so much. It's been my honor to be with you. Thank you for giving me the time to really share my experience here. I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, dear Bosu, for this excellent presentation and the illustrative cases that you have give us today. And now we will open discussion. Before we open discussion, I'd like to welcome our dear Professor Yoha, my dear best friend.
Professor Yoha, I'm honored to have Professor Yoha with us here.
Yeah, we will. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm in Finland now because I cannot come back to Henan because of the strike. Very, very difficult quarantines, and I wanted to begin again a new period in April 1st for 3 years, but pandemic in Shanghai and Beijing and extremely heavy quarantines, and besides that also the war in Ukraine, they prevented my return. So like Professor Tianxiao Li showed, the number of cases, it is like Yellow River, patients are coming. So you showed 7-year series of aneurysms. In these 7 years, Henan Provincial People's Hospital was treating 10,000 patients with aneurysms.
Unbelievable.
It's 1,300 a year. And the number of AVMs is also very high. Number of bypasses they are doing because of the Moyamoya disease is 500 cases a year in Henan Provincial People's. And like you know, Subin has done 10,000 bypasses for young man in Shanghai. So we should have the possibility to visit each other, to learn. I think also USA neurosurgeons could profit very much to see extremely skillful surgeries in high number of cases. What's a pity? It's a lack of language, lack of publishing the cases, and this is one of things which fellows could from West could help in publishing huge number of case series. And I was very impressed with the skills of the Chinese neurosurgeons that are extremely skillful neurosurgeons, but without publications, you remain only local hero, and the knowledge and skills are not widespread. So my question about the awake craniotomy, I was proposed 30 years ago to begin awake craniotomy, but I refused because I didn't feel it needed. And how long does that kind of procedure take time? They are prolonged. As I have seen only 2 more cases, but it took 1 day for 1 operation room.
Right. Yeah, Joha, you're exactly right. I mean, these are, so we evolved the awake for complex case. This is very different than the standard awake surgery for tumors and gliomas. We have evolved a whole technique that allows for regional blocks and for blocking the Gasserian ganglia for skull-based cases. And for long cases like the big AVM case I showed you, they're not awake the whole time. They're asleep for the opening, they're asleep for the closing, and they're awake for the critical portion of the surgery where you're testing the vessels. So it's the procedures in intervals. It's not the whole thing from beginning to end. It's very different than the traditional awake surgery for functional and for gliomas. So we've really evolved this technique, and I've talked to neurosurgeons around the world, and I've been to a number of countries now. Do not try to reinvent the wheel. We learned a lot of things for vascular skull base and awake surgery that we have developed now. So I go in, spend a week, we do a number of cases, show them how we develop this technique. It is not like the awake glioma surgery. So once you develop the technique, once you develop the patients, once you know you get to know how to handle this, the advantage, Joha, is really comes down to perforators and temporary clipping. That is where the critical advantage is. If there's a little perforator behind an aneurysm, of course, you're a master surgeon. I mean, I'm talking about in general. If there's a little perforator that the person doesn't know and the monitoring doesn't show, the awake tells you right away. That's a yield of these cases that we analyze in detail, okay? That is where the benefit is for those specific cases, especially for basilar apex, and I didn't show you today. I have a number of cases where those perforators in the back wall of the aneurysm that you cannot test with electrophysiology. There's no testing for brainstem, high brainstem function by EEG or SSEP. Those perforators is the game change in basilar tip aneurysm, as you know very well. If you could figure that out in real time as that's happening, that's where the yield is the difference in outcome, okay? But yeah, I agree with you, Joha. This needs a team, and I have made myself available to centers and hospitals around the world, the colleagues, to come and develop that program together. And this, to be honest with you, Joha, this can only be done in hands of highly experienced surgeons like you and others in the audience here. And every lecture I say, awake surgery for aneurysms and AVMs is only in hands of people who have done tons of surgery under general anesthesia. They say, I could not have done this early in my career. No way. Because not only you have to have confidence. When I was early in my surgery, I was so scared about the aneurysm rupturing in me, let alone the patient being awake and I'm talking to them. It comes with evolution of you being such a comfortable surgeon that you add that additional benefit to the patient. You cannot do this early in your career, okay? So this is something for, really experienced surgeons to add one more layer to perforators and temporary clipping aspect of this. But thank you, Joha.
But the point is that you need a very special team.
Yes.
And it takes a long time to do the procedure.
Well, the time is the time of the procedure is the same. I mean, actually, it's slightly because you don't have time for general anesthesia of the patient. The time of the actual procedure is the same because you're doing the same technical issues. There's no difference. The length of the time is the same.
I'm speaking about the time in operation room because there's a big team testing before operation and all the time, and then.
Yes.
And speaking about the time coming to operation room and going out, this is certainly long.
I think that's a good point. We don't have the time for anesthesia, for giving general anesthesia and for waking up the patient from general anesthesia. So you're eliminating that time. As far as the monitoring is concerned, we monitor general anesthesia cases with electrophysiology. We monitor the awake patients with electrophysiology. And the number of anesthesiologists is the same for same procedures. It's just a team is trained in the procedure. So, it's I don't think there is a big difference from the team standpoint. you are eliminating the general anesthesia intubation time and the extubation time in the operating room. So I'm not sure there's a big difference in the actual time of the procedure, but you're right. You need a team that knows how to do this, that the anesthesiologist and neurosurgeon are very comfortable with it. And it requires, I learned a lot in the last 9 years in developing this, and I want to share that experience because there are a lot of little things we learned how to make it better. What we started with was experience from glioma surgery. That doesn't work for this, does not work for this. So it's a whole new way of doing the awake craniotomy. So it's just totally different.
It's okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Johan. So good to see you. It's been a long time. It's good to see you.
Thank you. Thank
Your
you. Same to you.
contributions to the field of neurosurgery, to a whole generation like mine, are admirable. Okay, and we respect you for that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This was these were my points.
I have this one question to Professor Salim.
Yes.
Regarding brain AVMs during awake surgery, if there is chances or percentage of cases that you stop surgery during the AVM and you leave some part of the AVM because you feel it's not safe to continue? Or
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Dr. Wasim, as you know, AVM surgery is a very complex decision. I mean, you know, I think as far as I think my decisions in AVMs is to the way I look at AVMs, AVM is like being pregnant. Either you have the whole AVM out or you don't. Partial treatment of an AVM does nothing for the AVM. It's only psychologically good for the neurosurgeon, but not for the patient. So if I'm going into an AVM surgery, I'm going for 100% cure, or I will not do the surgery. Now, there are cases I just say these should not be operated on. Okay, thalamic, brainstem AVMs, basal ganglia AVMs. I just don't think the risk-benefit ratio is worth it to operate on them. Okay, except in extremely rare things that a couple of cases I showed you, in extremely rare situations where I'm willing to operate on something like that. But in general, I will not even touch them. In the motor area AVM, like I showed you, in my view, the only way is awake surgery, like I showed you. That's the only way you know. Are they supplying normal motor strip? Are there perforators? That's the only way I can know. There's no other technology I'm aware of. So the only way safely for me at this point is doing him awake. So I hope I answered your question, Dr. Aziz.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks a lot, dear Professor, for this discussion, which have answered a lot of my questions about selection of patients that we will make awake craniotomy for him. My question about disadvantage of using awake craniotomy from expert like you. And
Yes.
the other question about partially calcified aneurysms. Is there a difference or is it okay?
Yeah. So the first question, the selection. First of all, the patient has to be 100% fully mentally cognizant. So this surgery cannot be done in somebody who's already grade 3 rupture, they're sleepy, or they're not. I mean, there is no way in the world you would do this surgery. It has to be somebody who fully can give a consent themselves, and the patient feels comfortable with it. So you have to have that discussion, the counseling with them beforehand. That is the only issue. As far as lesion contraindication, my way is every patient to me right now should be, at least the kind of cases I deal with, the complex cases, are best treated with awake surgery. Okay. As far as partially calcified, I will answer your question. I'll pull up a case, but I don't want to take Dr. Aziz's time. If there are 2 minutes, I will show you the case so that you could see what I'm talking about as far as the calcified is concerned.
Okay, excuse me, Dr. Aziz, we will give a chance.
Yeah,
okay. Go ahead, Dr.
Oh, okay. I mean, do you want me to do it after his lecture or before?
2 minutes, okay. It's okay. 2 minutes.
Okay. So the first question
It's okay.
Okay, it'll take me 2 minutes to pull it up. Maybe I don't want so let me get it ready and I'll, okay.
We'll start with Dr. Aziz and back to you. Thank you.
That'll be better, yeah.
Meng, please welcome Dr. Aziz.
Yeah.
Dr. Aziz, please start sharing your screen. Thank you.
So is it shown now on my screen? It's shared?
It's okay, and sound is loud and clear.
Yeah. So it's a privilege for me to be in this great meeting with my friends, Dr. Meng Li, and also to be with Professor Salim and Dr. All the professors today. I work in hospital in Abu Dhabi, named SSMC. It is in partnership with Mayo Clinic now. This is the biggest hospital in UAE now. It has a 700 bed capacity, very like 16 large operating rooms, 100 bed ICU. It is one of the largest hospitals maybe in the region. So this is Abu Dhabi. It's a beautiful city, very hot in the summer, very humid in the summer, but it's very beautiful in winter. This is Abu Dhabi desert. It's also very beautiful desert. You can just enjoy being during night in this beautiful desert. Also, Abu Dhabi is famous for sports activities. You can visit Ferrari World. You can visit the Formula. This is in Yas Island. This is my hospital. Today, I will speak about glioma surgery. So the outline of the presentation is 3 points. First, the rationale of surgical resection of gliomas, why we need to resect these tumors. The second point is why mapping and awake brain surgery matters for these cases. And then the last one is how we do it. So the rationale for resection of low-grade gliomas, we all know that low-grade gliomas are growing tumors. It grows 4 millimeters per year. It slowly invades adjacent cortex and subcortical areas, leading to neurological deficits with time. It is presented most of the time with seizures, which affects quality of life of patients, usually affecting younger patients. Possible malignant transformation. We all know that in 50% within 5 years. Resection, usually for these cases, because of all of this, resection eliminates the sampling errors, because only biopsy, we take small tissue, but if we resect, we can have all the tissue of the tumor. It reduces the symptoms and signs of mass effect. So this proven by studies throughout the years now. Earlier extent of resection significantly influences the progression-free survival and improves it. Early resection is also proven that it increases the overall survival rate. Seizure control is better after complete resection or near complete resection in these cases. Rate of malignant transformation also is decreased after complete or near complete resection. This is also proven by studies. For high-grade gliomas, the greater extent of resection at initial diagnosis improves overall survival as well. And 80% of extent of resection exists for newly diagnosed or recurrent glioblastomas. Still, all or none rule for glioblastoma. If we can resect it all or more than 80% as well, if we cannot do that, a biopsy is sufficient. So why we need mapping and awake brain surgery in gliomas? So we all know now that the impact of post-surgical neurological deficits and quality of life post-surgery decreases. If the patient has post-operative surgical deficits, the overall survival decreases by more than 40%. So the post-operative deficits erases the survival benefit in these patients. So it is very important to have safe resection for these tumors. And we all know that staying within the tumor is not always safe for low-grade gliomas, because usually low-grade gliomas invade the normal cortex, which is still functioning. So staying within the tumor is not safe. The preoperative imaging modalities we have, like MRI, functional MRI, DTI, and also the other intraoperative technologies like navigation, will not give us the protection we need against complications in these patients. So for preoperative functional MRI, we all know that preoperative functional MRI is not good for language localization. For example, bilateral dominance may be missed in functional MRI, which accounts for 20% of cases. Also, functional MRI may miss temporal language site localization accurately. In some patients, there is second and third language sites, which usually missed also by functional MRI. Brain shift during surgery and navigation, use of navigation also affects the accurate localization with functional MRI. So we consider functional MRI preoperative as a way to determine whether or not to operate, not how to operate these cases. For preoperative DTI, we all know that it is also misses some invalid tracks, and sometimes it adds invalid bundle tracks. Also, the brain shift during surgery is making it difficult to determine accurately the localization of the tracks. During surgery, it is also difficult to determine which the fiber tract localization. So also we consider preoperative DTI is a way to decide whether or not to operate, only do biopsy, or it will not direct intraoperative procedures for us. So continuing Y mapping, we find out that intraoperative mapping and awake surgery has a very high accuracy in identification of the sensory motor or in language areas. By continual somatosensory vocal potentials, MPs, it gives us a powerful tool to real-time be sure that the patient is doing fine. The subcortical stimulation also gives us a buffer zone of 5 millimeter protection against going into the bundle tracts. So for us, mapping maximizes safe resection, but it is not always give us increases the extent of resection. So sometimes mapping will let us have less resection than what we intended to do. So how we do it? Awake brain surgery is used. We have first to define our indications for these surgeries. So most commonly we use it for low-grade gliomas, for circumscribed high-grade gliomas, for brain aneurysms, as we learned today, and AVMs, as elegantly presented by Professor Salim. And also we need to know what our contraindications or what our limitation is this. So non-cooperative patients, because of age, disease, psychological issues, inability to follow commands, difficult airway, extremely morbid obesity, intractable seizures, this is not good cases to have awake surgery. So before surgery, we speak with the patient, we speak with the family, the anesthesia also has to be sure with the patient. We have to have a full understanding of the procedures, be sure that he will be comfortable during this procedure. And at the time of surgery, we bring the patient to the OR, we do the scalp block, which is either lidocaine or bupivacaine, epinephrine, we inject in the supraorbital, periauricular, posterior branches. We typically use 80 to 100 cc. And then we do the general anesthesia, which we have two types of awake surgery, either asleep, awake, asleep cycle type, or the conscious sedation type. So for the asleep, awake, asleep cycle, we start by general anesthesia with propofol, and then we extubate prior to the critical part of the surgery, and then we re-intubate again after finishing the critical part of the surgery. For conscious sedation protocol, we sometimes do it also. We start surgery by not intubating the patient by total intravenous anesthesia, like propofol or Presidex. Infusion is just stopped 10 to 15 minutes before starting the mapping. We use remifentanil as an analgesic. Patient is awake for mapping during the critical part of the resection, only during this part, but the other part, the patient is having conscious sedation. And then after finishing this part, we start again by propofol. For positioning, we can see here, we put the position of the patient in a comfortable way. We have the head elevated 20 degrees or 30 degrees or 40 degrees. The air will be optimized during this procedure. We use clear drabbing to be sure that that everything is fine. We use L-bar to have a visual corridor to the patient, and we try to avoid putting in instruments and tubes over the patient because this can lead to discomfort for him. We use Mayfield most of the time to fix the patient, make it safer for resection. So during surgery, we repeat the temporalis block before awakening the patient. We do a dural block by injecting lidocaine around the middle meningeal artery. We keep the patient, we don't open the dura until the patient is awake. Usually we awake the patient first, be sure that he's cooperative and no problem, and then start opening the dura. This is one of the tips we have. Patient can experience, we sometimes see that the patient has referred pain from the dural opening around the ipsilateral ear or eye. So we know that, and we have to give the patient analgesic during this time. We avoid narcotics, avoid inhalational agents, avoid muscle relaxants, be ready with laryngeal airways like masks. We sometimes need mannitol with the smaller doses. We need to cover the patient with antiepileptics, preferably sodium channel blockers like Tegretol. This is how we do it during surgery. This awake brain surgery is a teamwork surgery. It's most stressful for the anesthesia more than us. So we have to keep everything calm during surgery, and we have to make the environment enjoyable for everyone. So after that, when the patient is awake, we start our mapping. If the tumor is around the motor cortex, we do mapping for the motor cortex. Because we have a knowledge of the motor cortex from pre-operative MRI or functional MRI or DTI, we know that this is the place. So we can use navigation to identify more the central sulcus, or also by topography. We know that the middle frontal gyrus ends in the precentral sulcus. The intraparietal sulcus ends in the post-central sulcus. So after that, we start our mapping. There is three types of mapping the central sulcus. The first one is central sulcus localization. We use somatosensory evoked potential of the median nerve most commonly, or the posterior tibial nerve. The median nerve is better because it's 4 centimeters above the sylvian fissure. Most of the tumor on the lateral side surface of the brain, and it's most robust. We have the phase reversal, which is our neurophysiologist will tell us this is the place by knowing which point are between the electrodes, that this is a motor cortex, this is central sulcus, and this is a motor and sensory cortex. Usually the neurophysiologist will know it by the negative 20 or positive B22 for motor. We know that there is longer latency. We told our patients longer latency if the tumor invades the motor cortex. Usually we stimulate the median nerve, and then we record by the contact electrode strip placed in a transverse direction. So after we know where is the central sulcus, we can do the MAB localization more by stimulating. This is stimulating the motor area by the strip electrode. This is the parameters we use. We use the pulse widths, the number of pulses, the interstimulus intervals, intensity. We can reach 8 to 25. We record by placing the needle electrodes in the most common muscles in the face and arms or leg, like orbicularis oris, oculi, trapezius, hand muscles, quadriceps. So we do this MAP localization of the motor cortex, which we can be sure that this is the motor cortex. Also, we can do it continuously during surgery in a continual fashion to be sure that we are resecting safe and there is no decrease in the motor evoked potential during our surgery, especially when we reach the subcortical regions. The advantage of MAP localization of motor cortex is that there is no seizure risk. We never encounter seizures by doing this MAP localization. In contrast to the direct cortical stimulation, which is a little bit risky to develop seizures, we have to directly stimulate by the bipolar fork over the motor cortex. We usually decide by increasing gradually the amplitude by 2 to 4 milliamps. And usually the response, we get the response until 8 or 10 milliamps. And sometimes we can reach 20, which is our limit to get a response. We usually have ECOG combined with this direct motor stimulation, because ECOG can give us knowledge about the after discharges, because if we see after discharges, we know that this is our limit. We usually go to 1 or 2 milliamps below the after discharge threshold to be safe, not to invoke seizures. And after knowing where we are, we mark these areas with markers. So for direct cortical stimulations, all these patients have to be on anti-seizure medications optimized by loading, usually sodium channel blockers. We are ready with midazolam, 2 milligram. If seizures happen, we are ready with cold irrigation also to stop the seizures. We stimulate 3 seconds per site. We try to use the lowest current possible, especially near the central sulcus. When it comes to the subcortical areas, we use a monopolar probe. We stimulate up to 15 milliamps until we get a response. And then we know that we decrease the amplitude to 5 milliamps. And we know that every 1 milliamps, it is equivalent to a depth of 0.8 to 1 millimeter distance in the brain. So when we reach this 5 millimeter buffer zone, we stop because we know that we are near to functional tracks now. So coming to the language size, if the tumor is near to the language areas, we prepare our slides. These slides, the patient must know, at least 80% of the slides the patient must name it. We use usually black and white slides, no colors, no emotions, because this can lead to learning curve, increasing the learning curve. It should be not culturally biased. We use 3 seconds for every slide. We usually accompany the cortical mapping with ECOG. This is very important because it gives us safety against seizures. It decreases, it let us avoid seizures. And also it will let us know the after discharge threshold, because usually we go 1 to 2 milliamps below this threshold to avoid false localization. Because if we give high current, we can have false localization. We can just block an area far away from the stimulation point. Also, we have to be ready with midazolam and cold irrigation if seizures happen. For cortical language mapping, we usually map the face motor area first to know it, because sometimes when we map this face motor area, patient stop naming, and we can miss the actual language cortex by thinking that this is the face motor is the language area. We stimulate each site before the object or the slide appears to the patient. This is very important. We should start stimulation before the appearance of the slide to the patient. We stop the stimulation as soon as the patient correctly named the slide. We usually wait 3 to 4 seconds before ending the stimulation. If the patient starts to hesitate or starts to have some alteration in the voice, pitch, or volume, we know that we are near the motor cortex. If the patient stops completely naming, we know that this is a critical, this is the important language site. Also regarding the language mapping, we should consider 2 important points, which is more common nowadays in awake patients, which is multilingual patients. We have lots of multilingual patients now. So now from experience, we know that in the temporal lobe, the native language usually anterior to the other acquired languages. We know that if we injure the primary language site, it will affect all languages of the patient. But if we injure the acquired language, usually the primary language is still unaffected. Also, we have to know that there is multiple language areas. In the frontal lobe, it's 20%. In temporal patients, temporal lobe, it's 30% multiple language sites. So this is very important not to miss one second or third language site and have the patient post-operative deficit. So this is important to map all areas. For cognitive monitoring, we usually rely on a neuropsychologist with us during the surgery. These tasks the patient has to do by counting, naming, reading, comprehension, writing, or calculation. So there is some tips. If sometimes it's a recurrent case and the dura is adherent, so we can do transdural mapping. We have to know that the mapping is one step of the surgery. It is not all the surgery. And we have to rely on our understanding of the topography of the brain, our surgical techniques, and microsurgery. We should also protect the subcortical white matter tracts, because injuring the white matter tracts can lead to long-lasting neurological deficits more than injuring the cortex itself. Also, we have to have general anesthesia available at any time if there is any requirement during the surgery. So also we should map all multilingual areas. We should map, we should be aware of the after discharges and subclinical seizures. So as we said, mapping doesn't make us forget our good microsurgical techniques. We have to use a microscope, use high magnification, retract over the tumor, not on the brain, on the normal brain. Also, we have to use our microsurgical cerebrovascular skills, especially during Sylvian gliomas. We have to preserve arteries, use sharp dissection to open the arachnoid. We should protect the veins and not underestimate cortical veins. This is very important because we can do a very perfect mapping. We can do perfect awake surgery, but we sacrifice veins and we sacrifice cortical arteries, and this leads to deficits. So this is what a case we did recently. This case is a male patient, 29 years old. He's a bilingual patient presented by seizures, which was difficult to control. It was under control by 2 anti-seizures indications. He had an inferior parietal lobule tumor showing increased T2 and flare signal, giving a characteristic low-grade glioma. So why we do awake for this such location? Because we know that surgery in the inferior parietal lobule location can lead to spatial cognition deficits post-operative. Also, it can lead to attention, semantics, and social cognition problems. This is a very nice paper about the importance of inferior parietal lobule in all these cognitive areas of the brain. So here we see how we do it. The patient is comfortable. We selected patient who can withstand the surgery. So we let him bisect the line, and if he deviates the center of bisection, we know that his spatial cognition is affected. And this is his post-operative CT. We can see that the tumor is sized without much damage to the surrounding structures. So awake brain surgery is a challenge, most commonly to the anesthesium more than neurosurgeons. Careful selection of the patients and high motivation among the team is the key element of success for this surgery. So this is some publications for future reading if someone interested to know more about how we do it for glioma surgery. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, Dr. Aziz, for this excellent presentation. Is there any question from panelists?
I just want to say that was an excellent presentation by Professor Aziz. Really very well done. Explains the whole concept of, surgery, awake surgery for gliomas. So it was really beautifully done, actually.
Thank you.
Yeah, I also think, yeah, Professor, as the operation is very good. One question for you, yeah, this is very important and very popular technique right now in glioma resection. So I think I want to ask you another question. Is do the IDH mutant or wild type are very important for glioma? Is there 2HG spectrum test in your hospital?
We send it to my clinic. Yes.
No, use MRI. Use
MRI.
We use MRI to test 2HG.
No, it's not available in my hospital. No.
How about in Professor Salim's hospital?
Say that again. I was cutting out for me. Can you ask the question again, please?
Is there 2HG spectrum test in your hospital for glioma?
Yeah, you know what? I would have to ask. I'm so super specialized. I only do vascular and skull base.
Okay.
It's not my area. I will contact you offline. I'll find out for sure.
Okay. So, Professor, I have one question for you. Just now, I have some questions. So, in China, most of cerebrovascular disease people are using the intravascular therapy. Right now, only 10% of people would like to open surgery for vascular disease. What's the situation in USA? Understand my question?
Can you? I'm sorry. Can you repeat that question again? I'm having a problem.
Yeah. In China right now, 90% of cerebrovascular disease patients are using the intravascular therapy.
Yeah.
They are reluctant to open surgery.
Yeah.
What's the situation in USA?
Yeah. So this evolution of endovascular microsurgery is an important question. Since we have a global stage here, we should discuss it. Okay. So I believe these are complementary treatments. What happened in the US, we incorporated endovascular treatment as part of the paradigm for treating patients. What happened in parts of Europe, it almost went close to, in some places in Europe, close to 100% endovascular. I think, in my opinion, it's dangerous to have 100% either one, okay? It's dangerous to do this, okay? There are patients, it should be based on what's best for the patient, not what the doctor believes or thinks or whatever, okay? I believe the first line, now the way endovascular is moving, the first line should be consideration of endovascular treatment if it can be done with a high cure rate. If it cannot be done with a high cure rate, then the microvascular people need to be involved to be making those decisions, okay? So let me give you an example. Let's say you have a 25-year-old female with a right-sided posterior communicating artery aneurysm, okay? This case, in an experienced hands, in a hospital that has both endovascular and microsurgery, should be clipped. Why? Because almost 100% cure rate and very low risk to the patient from the surgery, okay? Endovascular can be done, but you also have recurrence of aneurysm, you maybe 80% cure rate, she's 25 years old, she's gonna live another 50 years, okay. 67-year-old female with a basilar tip aneurysm that's pointing posteriorly. That patient should be coiled. Why? Because the risk of microsurgery is far higher than endovascular coiling. And the patient's lifespan is not so long. Even if you're not cured, if you have 80% occlusion, still the patient is gonna live maybe another 15 years. So that patient should undergo endovascular coiling. The idea is in experienced centers like yourself, you have to have people who are really good at both. The problem I see a lot of places around the world, you have either very good endovascular people and the microsurgeons have very little experience, or you have very good microsurgeons, they don't have, that is a problem. You don't have equipoise in making decisions for the patient. The ideal is you have really highly experienced teams and they discuss with each other. They talk about every case together. If one is really good, very experienced, the other is not, then you're pushing more patients who could have had this treatment into this direction. That's what's gonna happen. So that's sadly what has happened in many places in Europe. For example, there's lack of people who have microsurgical experience. So automatically all patients, the reverse is true too. You cannot say this day and age, all patients should have microsurgery. I do not believe this is right, okay? Because this is not right for the patient. So you have to have the right balance, okay? From that perspective, I mean, for me, if I see a patient that can be done and cured and done with endovascular, I'm totally fine with it. I'm totally fine, I'm okay with it, okay? If it's a young patient that cannot be fully cured and we can treat that with very, very low risk, then it should be microsurgical treatment, okay? Those are decisions, local decisions in the hospital, when the patient presents, and that's why we cannot lose neurosurgeons trained in microsurgery. The problem was happening, we're losing a whole generation that is not trained in microsurgery. Then automatically the answer is going to be one treatment only, and that would not be the right thing for larger group of patients.
So I have a question to Professor Salim also regarding this point. Do you believe that a neurosurgeon can be good at both doing endovascular and cerebrovascular surgery, and he can excel in both treatments at the same time? Or
this is a question, a very good question, Dr. Aziz. We have been struggling with for a while. What happened in the last 10 years, the young guys who are coming out of training in the United States, and they do endovascular fellowship, they go do endovascular 1 or 2 years. If you look at their practice, it's 95%, 98% is all endovascular afterwards. Why? The question is, why is that? The reason is the learning curve for microsurgery is very steep. So once you train in endovascular and you get an ACOM aneurysm, you're like saying, you know what? I will just coil this aneurysm, right? The problem is can you truly keep equipoise in your numbers, in your experience, in your hands? If you cannot keep that equipoise and you don't have the experience, the endovascular neurosurgeon becomes purely, an endovascular, treatment of the disease, which is fine. So this has been a difficult issue from our perspective. That's why we created this line of people like I'm in, which is vascular and skull base. So people who always do open surgery, skull base and vascular, so you get enough volume. But I believe all the new generation of neurosurgeons should, vascular people should be trained in endovascular, okay? And it just, everybody has to be honest with themselves. If they purely do endovascular and that's all they're gonna do, then that person is not the right person to give the opinion whether that could be treated with microsurgery. I don't think that's the right individual. I think there are examples around the world for people who excel in both, and they can do both. And those are the examples that we can follow. That's why I believe somebody who has done microsurgery, has done it for a few years, has done a lot of cases, then going to do endovascular may have more an ability to give the right opinion, So that has been kind of a difficult issue to deal with.
Yeah, that's a good. That's good question. Very nice presentation for Professor Salim and us. So right now there's 1,960 Chinese neurosurgeons are watching our presentation on WeChat platform.
That is great stuff. It's an honor to be in front of such an audience.
Yeah, I think Professor Yuha is also here. Yeah, maybe some questions. Yeah, Professor Victor Hugo Pengzi have some question.
Hello, wonderful presentations, amazing lectures and surgeries. I remember that almost 25 years ago, here in Mexico, in one of the most important hospitals, we did some surgeries in awake patients, especially gliomas. So we forgot that kind of surgeries because of the economical resource. I think is more expensive than other surgeries. And Professor Salim, you think these kind of surgeries are going to be the future in neurosurgery?
Thank you, Professor Victor, for that question. So I do believe with our advancing techniques in the awake surgery, in the fact that we are showing better outcomes for complex vascular work, I hope it will take a big aspect of the kind of craniotomies done for complex aneurysms and AVMs. The biggest limiting factor, Professor Victor, that I mentioned earlier, is that to do awake aneurysms and AVMs, the surgeon has to have had a lot of experience in microsurgery of aneurysms and AVMs. It cannot be, I could not have done this early in my career because the surgery is complex, you're adding awake, so that kind of limits the number of centers that can do that. And as we just discussed, that we're losing more and more microsurgical expertise in the field overall, so it kind of makes it less and less available for awake surgeries for this. And that's why we're trying to collaborate with centers around the world to collaborate with them to develop a model to how to do that. So I don't know how widely available this can be because the number of vascular surgeons who have a lot of experience is relatively small, okay? So that is the dilemma we're in as far as complex awake vascular neurosurgery. That is a dilemma for us for sure. As far as awake surgery for gliomas, is very widely being used all over the world, as Professor Aziz showed, and it's done very well. And I think that's a great technique to also avoid complications. The idea for vascular skull base, it's a little bit more limiting due to the limited number of people who have hundreds of cases under their belt before they can do this kind of work. So unfortunately, we're limited from that standpoint, Professor Victor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a comment. I'd like to mention that Victor is going to be giving a series in Chinese in a week or two. And let me just show you an example of some of Victor's work. But he does wonderful illustrations. So we're looking forward. It's going to be translated into Chinese. So we'll see you then. We'll let you know. Okay, Victor?
Yes, thank you, John Bennett.
Thank you. Dr. Sameh, do we have a time for me? You asked me the question about calcified aneurysm. Do we have time or not? I want to respect.
Sure,
we do.
Sure, why not? Why not?
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to share my screen, a specific question about calcified aneurysms and the issue of awake surgery. So I want to show this here.
27-year-old male with a large, partially calcified, partially thrombosed middle cerebral artery aneurysm. The dome of the aneurysm eroding into the bone will become an important part of operative planning. Partially thrombosed aneurysms are by definition larger than their angiographic appearance. From an operative standpoint, we will plan to remove.
For the residents, remember, this is a very dangerous situation. You have to know this before surgery. This aneurysm is embedded in the bone itself. So if you do a normal craniotomy and try to remove this bone, you're going to tear the aneurysm right at the beginning of the surgery. You have to recognize that before the surgery, not during surgery. So that's very important.
Portion of bone that's adherent to the aneurysm. It was important for us piece. Moreover, it was important for us to be prepared to perform an ECIC bypass should that be needed. After performing the
you see what I did? I do two separate craniotomies. One a regular, one inside craniotomy for the bone stuck to the aneurysm. If you don't recognize this beforehand, this could be a complete disaster.
Perional craniotomy, we are removing the portion of bone that's adherent to the aneurysm separately under direct vision. Here we can see the aneurysmal erosion of the bone. We start with the separation of the aneurysmal dome from the dura.
See, in this case, I have no way of getting to the proximal aneurysm. Okay, this is a giant thing. I have to open the dome of the aneurysm. Okay, here.
The plan is to remove the thrombus from the aneurysm before clipping can be done.
See, so I have to open at the dome of the aneurysm. I know most of this is calcified and thrombosed, so I feel very comfortable. Okay. And what I have to do.
The calcification required the use of the CUSA to decompress this aneurysm. To avoid lengthy interruption of blood flow, we avoided temporary clipping.
Now, of course, for younger neurosurgeons watching this, you need to have a temporary clip on the M1 here to do this. For me, it's a big concern because there's a lot of calcification and thrombus here. I was worried if I put a temporary clip, I can get an embolic thing. Because I'm comfortable, I'm doing it that way, but for younger neurosurgeons, you need to have a temporary clip here.
During this portion of the procedure.
And for this amount of time, I didn't want to have a temporary clip there, okay? But you need to. Now, the critical issue here is this. I'm going to slowly get to the mouth or the neck of the aneurysm. And what I want is see blood coming this way, so we get rid of all the thrombus towards us, so nothing goes as an embolus. And that is my goal in this surgery. I want to see the arterial blood coming at me.
Very close to the neck of the aneurysm, and we have to be very ready to immediately place clips once arterial blood.
See, this is all thrombus here, stuck in the neck of the aneurysm, right? That's where the risk is. So now I'm slowly going to remove that. I want blood coming at me to flush all the thrombus towards me, not towards the M2s, okay? See, arterial blood is coming at me.
At this point, I'm occluding the
See, I
blood
pulled it
flow
out
from the
this way.
aneurysm with the dissector in my right hand and getting ready to put the first clip with my
Now I
left
feel
hand.
comfortable. By softening this, I feel comfortable putting the clips on.
Neck requiring multiple clips. I'm speaking to the patient throughout this process and he is doing
I'm
very
checking for any perforators, any lenticular striates.
it real hard. Good. Good.
Okay, so that's occlusion of that aneurysm. And obviously it's a very wide neck. I had to put multiple clips to get rid of it. But that's a technique.
Only
for-
27 when I had surgery. I was scared. But Salim Abdul, he made me could have done it. So I guess I owe you a thank you.
So this is a patient I know
For me and
very
my family,
well.
we appreciate it.
And this is
This surgery
post-surgery.
really was life or death for me. And you gave me life again, man. Thank you.
I show pictures of this patient and patients. Is at the end of the day, why do we do what we do? It's for this, to have the best possible outcome in complex situations. So it's I'm glad I got to share that with you to show you, what can be, done from that standpoint. Just want to mention something real quick while we're at it. We are having our Congress in Granada, Spain, for the University of Neurosurgery. And we're going to have close to 250 young residents and medical students from around the world. We want you, the neurosurgeons, to come there as mentors. We're creating a mentorship program. All of you should be mentors for the next generation, okay? So this is a forum to do that in, and it's good to be with you. I hope, Dr. Sameh, that answered the question about calcium. I mean, these are the perfect cases for awake surgery, by the way. The more complex the aneurysm is, the more high risk. That's when you know that awake data is going to change certain things during surgery about perforators, back vessels, that you cannot know while you're putting clips and stuff like that under general anesthesia. That is a critical issue. So for me, that is a game change. It has been a game change for me as far as in the evolution of microneurosurgery. So I hope I answered your question.
It's now clear. Thank you. And this will raise in my mind, suppose that the aneurysm rupture, do you continue as awake or turn it to general?
Yeah, no, that's always a good question. In our series, we had 3 intraoperative ruptures and all of them continued as awake. I mean, the idea is you do what you do if you are under general anesthesia. I mean, you calm, you control the bleeding, you put temporary clipping. We have not had in that series a single patient we had to convert to general anesthesia in the middle of the surgery. So it's the same technique, same idea. I mean, just like you saw in that aneurysm, the blood was coming at me from the aneurysm. That could be considered rupture, but that was intentional, right? But it's okay. You just handle it. You do what you need to do, and you continue. Keep it calm, quiet, controlled, confidence. That's the way to handle those situations.
Also, do you prepare incision in the neck to control such thing before surgery, or just handle it?
No. For proximal carotid aneurysms, it's a very good idea to have proximal control. Okay. Right now, a lot of these proximal carotid ophthalmic aneurysms are treated very well with flow diverters. Okay. So the proximal large ophthalmic aneurysms are essentially become more an endovascular case. Okay. But in those cases where you have to, yes, you have to have proximal control in the neck. Because I'm a skull-based guy, instead of having a neck incision, I get proximal control at the petrous carotid, because I just go extradurally and I prepare it ready to do it. For me, that's a lot faster, a lot easier. But in general, yes, for giant, large aneurysms, ophthalmic, you have to have proximal control. It would be dangerous not to do that.
Thank you, Professor, for excellent presentation and the discussion. Is there any question?
Hello, Professor Omar from India. I saw you raise your hands just now.
You are muted, Omar.
You are muted, Omar.
There you go, Omar. Go ahead.
Okay, very nice presentation today. Very nice. But I asked Professor Salim, how many percent we change from intubation and extubation? From awake surgery to general anesthesia.
Yes, Professor. Yeah, I just was talking about it. In that series that the committee reviewed, we did not have any patients that were converted from that to general anesthesia. We have not had a single patient we have to do that for. But remember, these are essentially all elective cases, non-ruptured cases. So this is a relaxed situation, okay? You should never use awake for emergency situations. That should never happen. Emergency situations need to be treated standard general anesthesia. This is for fully awake, cognizant patient, mostly elective surgery, quiet situation. I do not recommend awake surgery for anything where the patient has level of consciousness is low or they have brain swelling. That should never be done awake. There's no advantage because you're not testing the functions in the patient. You're just taking additional risk. There is no indication in that situation.
Thank you very much to say.
Of course, my honor.
What about post-operative epileptic seizures?
Yes, that's a very good question. So Dr. Aziz is here as well. The difference between glioma surgery and vascular and skull base, in glioma surgery, we're not doing cortical surgery. You're not doing cortical surgery. You're doing extracortical surgery. Aneurysms and AVMs are extracortical. So the epilepsy is not an issue in these cases. In gliomas, you have to be careful, the epilepsy in a way. But either way, we had and I've done over 250 awake aneurysms in AVMs. We had one patient who had an intraoperative seizure. So for every case we have a cold normal saline available right next to you, very cold normal saline. If the patient has a seizure, you pour cold saline right on the cortical surface. That's how you deal with it. But for aneurysms and AVMs, that's not an issue. You're not stimulating the cortex. So it's not an issue from that sense. You treat them just like you treat your general anesthesia cases. You give them pre-operative anti-epileptic medications, give them same thing, no difference whatsoever.
I have one more question, Dr. Professor Salim. Yeah.
Yes.
For the temporary clipping for the internal carotid, how much time you wait to be sure that this 3 minutes, 5 minutes?
Oh, you mean when I permanently occlude the carotid?
No, temporary, then you check if there is no neurological problem. Then you
No. See, our data is showing, in reality, you will know within the next 2 or 3 minutes. But I'm on the safe side because the patient has a bypass. I'm not rushing. I occlude for good 10 or 15 minutes at least, just to be 100%. During those 10, 15 minutes, I do a hypotensive challenge with the blood pressure. Yeah, just to make sure I'm not missing anything, that the graft is bringing enough blood, okay? So I do much longer than you would need, but my data, and we have some very unique data that will be published because it's the only data in the world where we're telling you guys what happens on length of temporary clipping of basilar artery, carotid, MCA, what are the things we have found over time. So we have a very, very unique set of data that will be coming out from this experience. But Dr. Aziz, I just take more time just to be sure before I permanently occlude the carotid. But all the findings we had in patients in any temporary clipping, that patient is having a problem, it's going to happen in the first 2 or 3 minutes. Only embolic problems occur much later in patients, like a week later or 10 days later, it would be some embolic thrombus, but the hemodynamics of collateral flow, very quickly. Just like that patient I showed you in the MCA, in first 25 seconds, the patient started having collateral issue.
Also for the sleep, awake, sleep, or conscious sedation, what is more now?
It's conscious sedation. We do not have the patients intubated at all. So, but we're using propofol, and we amend with a couple of things in the beginning of surgery. Then we give enough time when we get to the critical temporary clipping to take them off of that. But we don't have them intubated at any point. What do you do, Dr. Aziz, in your awake glioma surgery?
We do conscious sedation more because the anesthesia is more comfortable with it.
Yes, yes, and the patient is too sleepy if you do it the other way, I believe, to examine them.
Nice presentation. Both, yeah, excellent discussion. Yeah. Is some other question? John, do you have some question?
No,
I'd like to
excellent talk. Go ahead, Sam. Go ahead.
I'd like to ask Professor Aziz about epilepsy in his series.
Yeah, we usually have after discharge, but we rarely have to progress to epilepsy, to seizures, because we usually load the patients before surgery. We be sure that the patient is under well control. Also, we do the mapping and we know the threshold, and we try to be lower than the threshold. We are ready with the cold saline. If after discharges happen, we stop mapping if we find after discharges. So the number of epilepsy cases or seizure cases during surgery is very, very low.
Okay,
We
yes.
try to take care so well. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, to Professor Salim and Professor Wasim for this excellent presentation and discussion. And now it's yours, Ming, to ask questions or close this session. Thank you.
Thank you for all the people here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to say one closing remarks first to Yuha. Are you still here? I don't know if he's here.
I think you are left just now.
Okay, I'd like to say and reiterate this is a legacy of Yuha. Yuha came to China, I think more than 5 years ago, and he wanted to do something like this, but we couldn't have the team like Ming to be able to put things, and Sam to be able to help us put things together. To help Yuha, so he doesn't have to be here. He can arrange it, curate it, and participate now and then. So Ming, you were the missing piece. So I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you very much to support us to do this ground round. Yeah, thank you all the speakers and all the guests here. Yeah, Dr. Victor Hugo. Pengzi is also a good friend of our department. Yeah, present many times in our department. Dr. Az, yeah, some, yeah. I think we will do more. Yeah.
Okay, very good. We'll be talking about that, and you'll hear from us.
Yeah, I will update maybe tomorrow or next week. I will update the data on the WeChat to every people here. Okay.
Very good. Okay, we'll see you next time. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.